Chapter 376, Mark's Proposal to the Kunlun Sect. The next day morning, Mark and his companions resumed their journey. Unlike what they expected, there was no sort of ambush happen from the Wuji sect despite its patriarch making an announcement. Eventually, the group crossed the border and entered the Lian Empire. Because of the crest on the horse carriages, no one stopped them, including the soldiers at the border check post. The appearances of the griffin and the giant albatross made it only more difficult for anyone to question them either. Of course, the news of their appearance will reach the imperial palace very soon. Just like that, 2 more days passed away. Somewhere in the wilderness of Lian Empire, the 2 bicorn carriages were striding side by side in a vast desert with a giant albatross and a griffin following them from above. While the albatross was alone and didn't have any rider, the griffin, on the other hand, was accompanied by a 15-year-old girl. Sliding the window to the left, Song Yue took a glance at the sky and commented, "You are a bit harsh on the girl. There's no need to alienate her this way, you know." Mark patted her hand as he answered, "I'm not alienating her. I'm just using her to keep an eye on our surroundings. You wouldn't let her travel with us. You wouldn't let her sleep in the same space as everyone. You wouldn't let her eat with us. Heck, you don't even let us talk with her." Song Yue wasn't impressed by his actions toward the teenager. She further added, "You don't need to purposely make things harder for her." In response, Mark slowly reached out to the window and closed it before replying to her. "If I had to be honest with you, I don't trust her. You saw her. She was acting a lot crazier and too stubborn. What if she attacks you? It's not like she is my friend or any relative that I would blindly believe that she doesn't have any other nefarious intentions. Please don't give justification. You don't trust anyone whether they act crazy or not." Song Yue expressed that it was just in his nature to suspect others, to which Mark countered immediately, "I trust you. In fact, other than you, it's hard for me to trust anyone else." "Well, that's—" Song Yue felt speechless for a second as her fiancé indirectly told her how special she is to him with a straight face. She couldn't help but blush and look away. "Thanks," she mumbled. Mark let out a grin as he put his arm over her shoulder. She placed her head on his chest and snuggled herself into his arms. Looking at the 2 lovebirds, Song Yun had mixed feelings. 1, it is his daughter that someone is hugging in front of him. He was a little bit angry but is helpless to do anything. At the same time, he was happy that his daughter found the love of her life. He heard how devastated she was when her ex-fiancé broke up with her, not to mention the fact that his son-in-law is a man of whom he can be proud at any given day. Since he wasn't supposed to react to anything, Song Yun just closed his eyes to take rest and stay as if he was invisible. Time passed away without any incidents. Around 2 in the afternoon, the bicorn carriages finally crossed the desert and enter the Kunlun mountain range, which is ruled by 3 major sects, Kunlun, Wuji, and Shaolin. Mark expected an attack here, considering the place is also home ground to the Wuji sect. If everything goes as he wants, he would have a perfect reason to wipe out everyone from the Wuji sect, loot their treasure, and give a firm but an indirect warning to the other forces on the continent. All he needs some justification to do it. Rather than appearing like a selfish person, he would want to be a vengeful person instead. Unfortunately for him, the Kunlun sect was overly concerned about their dear guest and decided to send another Grand Elder along with a couple of elders to pick them up on the way and escort them safely to Mt. Ku, the highest peak of the mountain range. As a result, the rest of the journey throughout the mountainous area also ended up smoothly. Because of these cautious elders of the Kunlun sect who pestered Mark until he agrees with their request, Mark had to continue his travel even after sunset. Those people don't want to give any opportunity for the Wuji sect to plan an assassination in darkness. Fortunately, the bicorns and the other mounts could see in the dark. Hence, traveling in the darkness didn't pose any problem. By midnight, Mark reached the Kunlun sect and was directly escorted to the patriarch's residence to take a rest for the night. Dongfang and Zai Ling didn't follow him there as they were no longer part of his group. Not to mention, they had their own respective homes to go to and have some sleep. It goes without saying that Zai Mei also tagged along. Now that she is also a guest, Mark didn't have the right to order her to not sleep in the same space as he and Song Yue. As a result, she ended up sleeping under the same roof, just a couple of rooms away from both of their rooms. The next day, around 9 in the morning, Mark and Lan Ju had an audience with two grand elders, and the acting patriarch of the sect as the real boss of this place was in a closed-door cultivation for the moment. Lan Ju stayed as a spectator, letting his master do all the talk and whatever deal he wanted to make. He was just there to protect Mark and put mental pressure on the clients. After an exchange of pleasantries, the acting patriarch and a supreme realm expert, Ding Tai told Mark that he was informed about his deal with Zai Ling and would like to hear what he wants. In response, Mark asked a simple question. Do you all have the power to make decisions on behalf of the sect regardless of your patriarch's absence? Acting patriarch Ding Tai nodded firmly, yes. All right then. Mark leaned to the table and placed his arms on it with a serious look as he said, here's the deal. I'm going to wage a war against the Wuji sect. I and my forces will take care of them. Before that, I need some high-quality information on the Wuji sect like their top techniques known by their upper echelons, hidden experts, any defensive formation, etc. Then, I need your sect's help to conjure a large-scale barrier around their mountain so that the disciples cannot escape by any means. In return, MT. Wu, the leftover disciples of the Wuji sect, and every weapon of platinum and below grade will be yours. Of course, you will also be a friend of Genesis Weapon Store, Western Moon Kingdom, and Eastern Sun Kingdom. That is the deal I offer for your assistance. Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. A coachman of mine had accidentally acquired the elemental spirit of light, which I believe belonged to your sect. However, he wasn't interested to join your sect, so his freedom is also added in this deal. Everyone. The whole room was filled with silence for a while. Chapter 377, Kunlun Sect's Answer. Neither the acting patriarch nor the grand elders of the Kunlun sect had expected to hear such an absurd proposal when they decided to host Mark for his help in Dragon Warrior Tournament. Forget about conditions for a second. What kind of force is the Wuji sect? It is one of the top sects on the continent and had great influence in the imperial court of the Lian Empire. Assuming that Mark will probably back down from his foolish idea, the acting patriarch explained, before you hear about the Wuji sect, you must know the history of the Kunlun sect. Our sect was founded by a demigod named Zio Shu, roughly about 1500 years ago. No one knows where he came from. There were only speculations that he was from a higher plane of existence. He was quite powerful. Back then, the world was still in the stage of infancy when talking about the spirit warriors. Because a man cannot see or even get the blessings of gods in direct form, people used to revere him as a god, and our Kunlun sect is considered the heavenly domain. For the next 300 years, we were considered the most powerful sect in the entire continent. The emperors used to pay homage to our founder. Whenever they needed any help in taking the decision or resolving matters with fellow emperors, they used to make personal visits to this place. But then, one day, our founder passed away due to an incurable illness caused by a mysterious curse. Before he died, he left his 4 divine weapons to his 4 disciples, who were also the grand elders of this sect. Now, 2 of his disciples didn't have ambitions, but the other 2 fought with each other for the highest seat on this continent. In the end, our late patriarch had attained the victory, and it wasn't digested by the other candidate. The latter left the place to find the Wuji sect on Mt. Wu. After some time passed away, the other 2 grand elders also decided to leave this mountain because of the clash of their ideologies. One formed a sect for the followers of Buddha, and the other one formed the Iron Palm sect. Because of this, there was a constant rivalry between us and Wuji sect, while the Shaolin sect and Iron Palm remained neutral. And over time, our rivalry has slowly turned to enmity. Now all of us are thirsting for each other's blood, but according to the agreement made by our predecessors, The four sects cannot go to all-out war against one another. If one breaks the agreement, then the other three will join forces to eliminate the remaining. Conjuring a large-scale barrier is not a problem for us, but if you fail then, this will lead to a huge mess. And defeating them on their own turf is impossible even if you know their treasures and techniques. MT. Wu had a formidable defense formation, which the founder of the Wuji sect received knowledge from the demigod. Upon activation, the ancient formation will lock down the intruders and their ether energy. Even the disciples living in the sect will not escape. The only one that will not be influenced is the caster himself, i.e. Wuji sect's patriarch. Other than that, only demigods will be able to bypass the restriction. Of course, this formation also has a small obvious weakness too. Since the pressure will be on one's ether energy, one with an extraordinary physique like a supreme realm of fighter path will still be able to escape with his life, while taking a lot of lives, disciples, with him along the way. Mark didn't interrupt him, and neither did he attempt to remove Ding Tai's worries by speaking about Lan Ju's real strength. He calmly listened to his explanation and asked, "Anything else?" Ding Tai felt like Mark hasn't been convinced yet. He continued by telling the guest what he knows about the sect. Apart from the formation, the Wuji sect appears to have various artifacts in their possession. The most famous of those artifacts, and the one that really matters, is actually a divine-grade artifact named Yu Pipa. Originally belonging to the Kunlun sect's founder, it is a jade pipa that is capable of controlling the weather and elements. The music can also effectively paralyze and induce the drowsiness of an enemy. According to the records, not even a normal demigod can escape this effect. Ding Tai didn't know that Lan Ju isn't a simple supreme being either, peak 9 circle. He wasn't even a normal demigod. Hence, Mark was confident that Lan Ju will be safe, and he was even a little bit excited to snatch the weapon from the Wuji sect. "Okay, I understand. What about the skills?" Mark then asked him about the most famous techniques of the Wuji sect to understand whether it is safe for him to send the Manticore into battle too. Ding Tai and the other Grand Elders described to him the effects of the skills they have in common with the other three sects, and the ones they know about the Wuji sect's unique ones. After confirming the number of legendary and supreme realm experts within the enemy zone, Mark thanked them for the information and further said that he will begin his preparations for the upcoming war. As for whether the Kunlun sect wanted to participate in this war or not, it was left to their decision. While the outcome of the battle won't change regardless of their actions, he still hoped for them to go along with him. If they back out, he would have to drop them out of his plans for world domination, show a bit of mercy on the Wuji sect instead of total wipeout, and then shift his carrot and stick plan to some other time. It will be a bit of a headache, but not so much that it would block his path or anything. Hence, he gave them a day to think about it and left for his room. And then, about a couple of hours later, the acting patriarch met Mark once again, this time for tea, and spoke of his decision. Mark raised the cup with a smile, happy cooperation. Ding Tai didn't know what the gesture is, but he followed the suit, and did the same as Mark and smiled as he raised the teacup, happy cooperation. Chapter 378. Alan and Lin Zhu go on a mission with Elena. Meanwhile, in the imperial city of Phoenix Empire, somewhere in the Hangu district, where the Genesis weapons store is located, there was a huge old building being renovated for the past couple of weeks. It was once a restaurant belonging to a wealthy individual, but due to some reason, his restaurant went out of his business, and he neglected the place altogether. At the moment, the building and the 8,000 sq.m. of land beneath it is in Mark's name, although it was bought by Elena using the money given by her master. After purchasing the building and hearing the experts to renovate it to suit modern-style architecture according to the memories of Mark, she contacted the Song clan about the development of the area around. If the surroundings are dirty, who will come to the restaurant and eat the food? That's why she wanted to take the help of the Public Works Ministry. Fortunately, everything went on her way, and the area was currently being cleaned around, and the installation of fire lamps and electricity is being done at a rapid pace. Inside the kitchen that was completely renovated, Elena was busy cooking a dish. She was swirling down the ladle for a few times and took an ample amount of soup with a piece of meat. It's good, but it's too normal. I need something that will bring those wealthy individuals to this place and also bring business, weapon sale, to Big Brother. After thinking for a while, she wrapped up the cooking practice and left the place. In about 15 minutes, she reached the guild district and started looking for something. Because she was wearing graceful clothes and not armor like the people roaming around, she looked like a client, and her beauty did attract the attention of passers-by, male and female alike. A couple of adventurers approached Elena, who appeared to be searching for a specific guild. "Miss, may we help you?" asked an adventurer. Elena spared a glance at him and said, "A guild called Ace. Did you know it?" The two adventurers looked at each other and shook their heads before the guy asked, "Are you looking for someone, or are you looking for a guild to post a mission?" "Both," replied Elena in a cold tone upon spotting their lustful gazes. "Now, if you can't help me, then don't waste my time." Disgusted by the way they are looking at her, just like the other men, Elena didn't bother to stay there and proceeded to walk. An adventurer suddenly grabbed her arm in a hurry. "Wait, I can help." Before he finished his sentence, Elena twisted her hand and grabbed his wrist with her grabbed the arm and swung it over her shoulder. The adventurer was slammed onto the ground and instantly became unconscious. "You must be tired of living," she commented as she glared at the adventurer at her feet. The other adventurer was shocked to see the incident. Earlier, they just thought that she is a civilian of the middle or upper class. But seeing how she casually knocked a 4-circle realm spirit warrior, the adventurer quickly realized that they fucked up and immediately apologized to her. As he begged for mercy, Elena stared at him for a while and spoke, "All right, I will forgive you, but you will do one thing." After a while, both of them were seen following her like guards as she entered the Ace Guild. A few hours later, the same day noon, Alan and Lin Zhu were at their guild to do some missions as usual. They have done 8 missions so far and all of them were successful. The two of them also became closer than ever due to spending time with each other in their free time and battling their enemies or monsters in their adventures. And now they became quite inseparable. Except during their sleep time and bath time, Lin Zhu and Alan could be seen together almost every minute of the day. Some people detested it while some just passed it off by seeing Alan as her bodyguard. Whatever the case, neither Lin Zhu nor her father minds it, so no problem has come between them. Just like every time, the pair of adventurers walked to the mission board to pick up a couple of missions in the same region. As they were contemplating on which one they should choose, the manager of the guild approached them. "Lady Lin, Mr. Allen." The both of them looked at him. He said as he handed a piece of note to Alan, "An important client requested your services. It's a bodyguard and hunting mission, if you are interested." Alan looked at it and said with a look of surprise, "This address, it's my sister's." Your sister?" The manager appeared to be shocked for some reason. On the other hand, Lin Zhu beamed with delight. "Elena's. I guess it must be for her restaurant's business. Let's leave right away. It's been a while since I last saw her anyway." While it appeared like Lin Zhu was interested in the hunting mission, the reality was something else. She just wanted to meet Alan's sister to impress her. Earlier, she did that while trying to help her in cooking, but she failed miserably. But if it is hunting, then it will be a good opportunity to redeem herself. As the both of them left in a hurry, the manager stared at their backs in a daze. That demonic lady is his sister. There was a stark difference between these siblings. The guy is someone who looked much more disciplined and never disagree on something unless it is necessary. On the other hand, that girl uses violence and threats at the slightest of disagreement. The manager shivered, thinking about Elena while the backs of Alan and Lin Zhu disappeared. About an hour later, they entered the building in the middle of renovations and found Elena in the middle of cutting down onions into thin slices to improve her cutting skills further. "Hello, sister, Ms. Spencer." Elena looked at them and let out a smile. It's been a while, Alan. She didn't respond to Lin Zhu for some reason, maybe. It has to do with the fact that this lady is bad at cooking and never gave a proper fight in a one-on-one battle against her. Putting her feelings aside, she went on explaining to them the details of their upcoming mission. So it's like this. I need ingredients for my recipes. Hence, we are venturing into Sector 4. Chapter 379, An Attack from Werewolves. By the evening, the group of three, Elena, Alan, and Lin Zhu, exited the imperial city on rental horses and made their way to the Blood Hill Forest. They reached the forest by dark but didn't stop and rest. Instead, they pushed their way until they reached Sector 6, where 4 Circle Realm beasts are common. Then, they set up a camp. However, to Lin Zhu's surprise, Elena started a campfire as the other two set up the tents. "What the hell, Elena? You don't set up a fire in the dark. Didn't you ever come to the forest?" said Lin Zhu as she raised her voice in surprise before realizing that she spoke out before thinking. It is indeed foolish to set up a fire in a place where beasts lurk in the dark while their vision will be limited. But then again, she is here to impress the lady so that her path to gaining Alan's love becomes easier. Instead, she scolded her. Fortunately for her, before Elena argued back, Alan replied in a soft tone, "Sister Zhu, my younger sister is actually laying a trap for the beasts. Instead of searching for them in darkness, she is inviting them to the fire so that it becomes easier for her to hunt them and save enough time." "Ah, I see." Lin Zhu nodded in realization. She was a person with high pride, so she wouldn't usually go her way to apologize to anyone including Mark. But to Elena, whom she wasn't even acquainted much, Lin Zhu bowed slightly with an awkward smile. "Sorry, I didn't think of that. I guess I overreacted." Elena wiped off the frown on her face and calmly nodded. "All right, just focus on protecting yourselves. I will take care of the rest." She didn't pursue the matter because of Alan, as Lin Zhu is friends with him, and he trusts her very much. The night passed away without anyone getting sleep due to the continuous attacks from various beasts. At the very least, Elena's plan was successful. By the morning, she had more than 60 corpses in her platinum-grade storage ring, and they resumed their journey deep into the forest without taking any rest. Being androids, neither Alan nor Elena needs any sleep. Hence, they looked fresh as always. On the other hand, Lin Zhu appeared to be quite tired as she helped out Elena in killing the beasts throughout the night. By noon, they successfully crossed Sector 5 and entered Sector 4, where the sightings of wolves of different types are common. Each pack of wolves serves under a werewolf, which could even hunt down Exalt Realm experts. Hence, if they weren't careful, they can say goodbye to this world. Then, why did Elena come here? It's not like people prefer the meat of wolves or werewolves. It's because of a certain species known as the wandering armored cow. Their meat is often considered a delicacy in Phoenix Empire and is so expensive that only wealthy individuals could afford them. The price of one caddy of this beef, 0.6 kg, depending on its cut, will range anywhere between 100 gold coins to 10,000 gold coins. While these herbivores don't like to kill any animals or humans, they were quite difficult to hunt due to 3 reasons. 1. They were fierce grade beasts and possess a thick coat of armor around their skin. It's damn tough to even pierce their body and kill them. 2. They were known to be fewer in number. Each one wanders alone and didn't have any particular habitat to settle down. With Sector 4 isn't any small in size, it is difficult to spot them. And even if one has the capability to spot them and kill them, the third reason will only make the job more difficult. The wandering armored cow has the ability of stealth, and they were pretty agile despite the fact that an average beast, matured one, weighs over 10,000 kilograms. Unfortunately for those beasts and fortunately for Lin Zhu, both Alan and Elena were androids and have the ability to scan around to spot the beasts. Their infrared vision will also render their stealth ability useless unless the targets were stronger than them. Alan might not be able to spot them, but they couldn't escape Elena, who was a rank 6 android. It didn't take long for them to spot a wandering armored cow. Using the Proto's daggers, Elena easily took care of the beast and hunted down by herself. As for the other two, they were on standby to keep an eye on the surroundings, as one wouldn't know how they will be attacked by other predators like snakes, carnivorous spirit trees, wolves, etc. Once she was done with her battle, Elena stored the beast in her platinum-grade storage ring and proceeded to hunt down the second one, and then the third one. After that, she stopped her hunt, and the group started returning to the lower sectors. Lu Zhen had earlier fought with a pack of wolves when Elena was hunting down the third cow. Her stamina was quite low at the moment. She wanted to lie down and rest, but didn't do it as she doesn't have any interest to appear weak in Elena's eyes of all the people. But then, as if the god of misfortune decided to take a liking to her, they were marked by not just one but two werewolves, and both of the androids sensed their presence far behind them. Alan informed Lu Zhen. "What should we do?" asked Lu Zhen in a bit of worry. "If it is one werewolf, it would be fine, but two of them would be quite a bit of a challenge for the three of them, so it is best to make a run," or so she thought. Contrary to her expectations, Elena didn't have much of a reaction to Alan's warning. She calmly said, without changing the pace of her walk, "As long as the both of you handle one of them until I finish the other one, we'll be fine. Nothing to worry about, Lady Lin." "Ah, is that so?" Lu Zhen was slightly taken aback at first, but then after remembering how this woman fought one-on-one with Supreme Commander Bai Zun, and how Alan had a divine-grade weapon of the light attribute, she became a lot calmer. Taking a deep breath, she summoned her semi-divine-grade lightning sword and tightly grabbed it. She was ready to battle with everything she has. Within a couple of minutes, the two werewolves in their humanoid transformations caught up with the group of intruders, and one of them directly attacked them without initiating any dialogue. As the male werewolf tried to attack Alan with his claws, Lu Zhen stepped forward and blocked his claws with her lightning sword. But the force behind his claws appeared to be superior. She was pushed back. Alan quickly grabbed her waist from behind and took a giant leap to the side, separating from Elena. The male werewolf's eyes were fixed on Alan. He let out a powerful growl and charged toward him. On the other hand, the female werewolf stared at Elena, who was staring back at her. Unlike her partner, the female werewolf didn't mindlessly attack her enemy and instead questioned her with a frown. "You don't smell like a human. What are you?" In response, Elena summoned a scythe and brandished it like a whip. "I will be your death unless you turn around and disappear from my sight within 10 breaths. Chapter 380, A Mysterious Tomb. As the male werewolf started his offense on Alan and Lu Zhen, the female werewolf growled at Elena and charged forward. Her claws opened up midway, and she raised her right hand upon reaching her target that didn't move from the spot. "Die!" The female werewolf motioned her arm to shred Elena into pieces with her powerful claws. However, her claws didn't strike the target. Instead, they passed through her. Is it an afterimage? The female werewolf momentarily thought that it is a clone, but then the so-called afterimage she passed through was still there, and it moved. Crescent slash. Elena swung down the scythe of doom, releasing an enormous amount of dark energy in the form of a crescent moon. Because there was no cast time, the skill was unleashed instantly, and the werewolf didn't have time to dodge. As a result, she was struck by the attack, and surprisingly, it didn't just simply hurt her. It cleanly sliced her into two, ending her life in an instant. The blood splurted from her body as each half fell on either side of the ground. "No!" The male werewolf suddenly stopped his assault and let out a scream. He transformed into a large white-furred wolf and then turned around, rushing toward Elena with full of hatred in its eyes. Elena shifted her attention to the incoming wolf. She stared at it coldly and raised her left arm, twilight shackles. 3 chains of Proto's energy were shot out of her palm and captured the wolf. As the chains were suppressing its movements, she spoke. "Alan, do it." Alan put away the platinum-grade sword gifted by Lu Zhen a while ago and summoned the divine sword of light. He charged at the wolf and took a giant leap. While he was coming down, he swung the sword with all of his strength. The wolf's head was separated from its body and became a corpse. Lin Zhu stood there in a daze. It was over just like that. For a moment, she couldn't believe her eyes that 2 powerful werewolves of the White Wolf tribe died, just like that, in the hands of this pair of siblings. Of course, this didn't scare her. Instead, it only motivated her further. Clenching her fist, she mumbled, "I will have to train harder to catch up to them." After storing their corpses, Elena started discussing this event with the other two. Why did the werewolves pursue them? They were intelligent species and wouldn't blindly attack without any reason. Is it because we killed the pack of wolves? Alan voiced his thoughts. To which Lin Zhu shook her head in response. Unlikely. Werewolves wouldn't hold any kinship for normal wolves. It is already suspicious that 2 werewolves are together in the first place. They must be partners considering how the male one reacted earlier. Elena thought for a bit and said, "Then, either we have unknowingly killed their pup or they must not want us to find something." Find something? Lin Zhu furrowed her brows. You mean that they might be guarding some treasure? Elena didn't say yes or no, but instead scanned the surroundings. Roughly about 20 seconds later, she abruptly turned her head to look in the direction of the east and walked at a brisk pace. Come. The other two followed her, wondering what it might be. Alan was also scanning his surroundings, but he found nothing unusual. After walking like 200 meters in the direction where they were originally going earlier before they were attacked by the werewolves, the 3 of them reached a large banyan tree with a huge hole in the trunk. Elena jumped into the hole instead of stepping inside. Alan commented, "It appeared that there was some sort of path that is leading to underground." Is that so? Lin Zhu nodded in understanding and activated her lightning energy armor. With the sparks of lightning dancing on her body, Lin Zhu also jumped into the hole. Alan followed the suit. Both of them fell for about 50 feet before reaching the ground surface. Then, they saw Elena walking towards something that is brightly glowing in purple. They followed her. By the time they reached a tomb glowing in purple, they found Elena staring at the words written on top of the slab. They were written in some kind of strange script. Unable to decipher, she mumbled in the end and turned to Lin Zhu. "Do you know what language is this?" Lin Zhu took a good look at the writings on the stone slab and said, "Probably the ancient Orlan. I'm not sure." "Let's open it and see what treasure this one holds." Elena reached out to the stone slab to move it. Alan caught his arm quickly and said, "Whatever this object is holding, the U sword appears to hate it. Maybe it is better to wait until Big Bro comes home." It looked ominous. "We can't wait until then, for we don't know when Big Brother will return. Maybe it is because it is a powerful divine grade item of the dark attribute," replied Elena. What she didn't reveal to either of them is the fact that the doom scythe in her mindscape is trembling in excitement as they got closer to this tomb. If not for the fact that the scythe is not bound to her consciousness, she was sure that it will come to the real world on its own. As the both of them looked at Lin Zhu for her opinion, she awkwardly smiled as she said, "I think we should open it." She wants to side with Alan, but not wanting to displease her future sister-in-law in Lin Zhu's mind, she decides to listen to Elena. "Good." Elena nodded with a smile and proceeded to move the stone slab aside. It was opened with ease, and they saw a skeleton lying there with a glowing ring on his index finger. "So this is the source of the purple glow," commented Lin Zhu as she stared at the ring. Elena then reached out to the ring and removed it. Holding it on her palm, she let out a smile. "Big Brother will be very happy when he receives this." "I guess," Alan agreed with her while feeling uncomfortable. "I wonder what grade it is. I cannot scan it," commented Elena as she carefully observed the ring with a glowing purple gem embedded in it. "Ooh, guys, we have a situation." Lin Zhu tugged Alan's shirt and pointed her finger at the tomb. As Alan and Elena looked in that direction, they saw the skeleton slowly regaining its skin. As Elena and the other two quickly distanced themselves from the tomb, but didn't leave their sight away from it, a naked man with waist-length white hair slowly rose from the tomb and stepped out of it. For a few seconds, he observed his body and stretched his limbs. Then a creepy smile appeared on his face as he shifted his attention to the three of them. I guess I should you kids for releasing me from that curse. I shall reward the three of you by adding to him. You two lack the souls. You are puppets. Who is that genius that created such high-quality puppets like you? The expressions of Alan and Elena were changed. On the other hand, Lin Zhu went into shock. Huh, what did he just say? Chapter 381, Mark's Demands for the Peace. While Lin Zhu's mind is a complete mess from what she heard from this mysterious old man, the two androids were alerted. They quickly went into battle stance and took out their respective weapons after scanning the enemy. This fellow before them appeared to be an Exalt Realm expert, 7th Circle, at peak stage, but his age was over 1500 despite the fact that he is a human. The fact that he could see through them indicates two possibilities. Either this fellow who came back from the dead is once a Supreme Realm expert who had his cultivation dropped later on, or he had special eyes that can see the souls. Either way, they didn't take this man lightly and decided to kill him. However, never in the world did either of them expect the Doom Scythe suddenly escapes Elena's grip on its own and flew toward the man. As the enemy caught the scythe, a look of surprise appeared on his face. Buddy, no, your old consciousness and memories were wiped away. You were bound to that puppet. Don't worry, I will free you, he talked to the scythe while ignoring the other three for a while. When he shifted his attention back to them, he saw Elena had the Proto's daggers out and staring at him coldly. The mysterious expert let out a grin. I don't know how much time has passed away, but I hope my generals are still around. Raising his free left arm above his head, he spoke out loud as the dark energy enveloped him. My faithful servants, wherever you are, heed the call of your master. A large glowing circle with mystical symbols appeared on the ground. Elena and the other two jumped away in reflex. Soon, a large undead gorilla rose from the ground, making the summoner crestfallen a bit as it probably failed to meet his expectations. But Elena and Alan weren't in the mood to think about anything else. The gorilla was a fusing legendary-grade monster. As the leader of the party, Elena gave the order, Alan, take Lady Lin and escape from this place. I will catch up to you. To which the expert bursts out into laughter. You really have a lot of human emotions, Lady Puppet. Interesting. Unfortunately, none of you will leave. The blade of the Doom Scythe glowed, and the entire surroundings changed in an instant. They were in a cave a second ago, but now, they were on an island with an endless lava sea around. As the master of Doom Scythe, Elena recognized the skill at a single glance of the surroundings. The illusionary realm. The mysterious expert gave the order to the undead gorilla, kill her. Meanwhile at Mt. Ku of the Kunlun Mountains, Mark was writing something on a piece of scroll. After he was done, he gave it to Lanju, go to Mt. Wu and hand it to the Wuji Sect's patriarch. As the Zheng took the letter, Mark further warned him in a serious tone. I'm sure that he will be enraged after reading the demands and you might be ambushed. In such a case, don't try to retaliate and just focus on escaping. We cannot give them a reason to be afraid of us. The more confident they are, the more it will become easier for us. What if they don't attack? Lanju asked in response to his master's instruction. Mark shrugged his shoulders. Then, it is simple. You provoke him with a direct attack but don't kill him at all costs. I want you to force them to use the defensive formation and experience its effects in person. Understood, Master. Lanju nodded as he rolled up the scroll and placed it in his right sleeve. Soon, he left the mountain to finish his mission. Not long after Lanju's departure, Mark's heartbeat spiked up all of a sudden when he was about to lie on the bed. He clutched his chest in pain. What kind of ominous feeling is this? Will Lanju face difficulty or something? No, that's unlikely. Song Yue was also fine. I guess it might be just acidity. Let's not take a rest and go for a walk. That will be good. At the same time, Lanju has already neared his destination, Mt. Wu, which is located just about 16 kilometers away from Kunlun Sect. As he went through flying, he was spotted by the disciples roaming on the peak of the mountain. It goes without saying that the patriarch and the elders were alerted. By the time Lan Ju landed on the ground, he was greeted by the presence of the sect's patriarch and two other grand elders. "So to what do we owe your visitation, Wu Weibao?" asked Lai Peng without a shred of respect in his tone. Lan Ju didn't care about his manners and handed the scroll to the Wuji sect's patriarch. "This is from my master." Lai Peng opened it and read it. It didn't take long for his expression to turn dark. Raising his head to look coldly at the Zheng, Lai Peng said, "Your master needed my head, 2 million gold coins or the same worth of ether crystals, and half of our treasury in compensation for the mental damage our sect has indirectly given him. Or else, there will be a war." He tore the scroll into 2 pieces and further said, "Return and tell him that our sect isn't afraid of him or the Kunlun sect." Seeing that the enemy isn't acting recklessly, Lan Ju went on with Plan B. "All right then, you rejected the peace and chose the destruction of your sect. That's fine with us. But before I return, I still need to do the mission given by my master." Lan Ju told them that only 2 people were killed in the tournament. The other 2 who participated in the ambush against Zai Ling and her group are still alive. He boldly announced that he will be searching for them and take their heads with him in return whether someone likes it or not. Until then, he will kill any disciple he encounters. And just like he expected it to go, Lai Peng was infuriated and he lost control of his anger and roared, "You crossed the line of being a messenger, Wu Weibao." Lan Ju, who turned around and was walking away, halted his footsteps, glanced at him from the corner of his right eye and spoke coldly, "So, what if I did? What can you do?" "I will kill you." Lai Peng charged at him with a clenched fist. Lan Ju timely caught his hand and swung his arm over his shoulder, slamming down the boss of the enemy sect onto the ground and alerting the others. "You cannot stop me," said Lan Ju, and he started walking away toward the disciples who were watching them. Looking at his back in anger, Lai Peng shouted, "Grand Mage Wang, activate the formation." Lan Ju stopped in his tracks and turned around, feeling that he managed to complete his mission. Meanwhile, back at the Blood Hill Forest. In the underground cave, Alan was unconscious. A heavily injured Lin Zhu had the glowing ring and some sort of hexagonal prism-looking thing in her trembling hands, and Elena's body was on the floor with a hole in her chest, and the mysterious expert's leg was on Elena's face. He put his strength further and flattened her face into a metallic plate as he looked at the android. "Go and inform the Imperial family of Phoenix. Necromancer King has returned, and he will be coming for the Emperor's head." Chapter 382. Shang Wei is at Wuji Sect. Wuji Sect MT, Wu Kunlun Mountain Range, Lian Empire. The grand formation of the Wuji Sect was unleashed by one of the Grand Elders with just a thought in his head. It was actually surprising for the other Grand Elder, and the Elders that the key to this ancient formation was actually with their Grand Mage, instead of the Patriarch himself. Very soon, everyone felt the effects of the formation. Their connection to ether energy was cut off, and a translucent barrier covered the entire mountain. Even the outer sect disciples and elders living in lower altitudes weren't spared. The only people who weren't affected were the Grand Mage and Lan Ju, the former being the caster, and the latter being a demigod realm beast. As Lan Ju stayed silent and calmly observed the changes in the surroundings, Patriarch Lai Peng mocked him with overconfidence. "Didn't your allies from the Kunlun sect tell you about our defense formation? If you came here to act bossy even after knowing, then I must say that you are too arrogant." "Is it over?" Lan Ju tilted his head and disinterestedly looked at him as if he was bored and disappointed. He further commented, "I thought your so-called formation is something special, but it is quite mediocre. I don't even need to showcase my full power to break this." As Lai Peng was angered once again by Lan Ju's overbearing attitude, the latter stomped on the ground. He didn't even use any ether energy, but the force behind the stomp was so powerful that a large-sized crater was formed, while the mountain shook, as if it experienced an earthquake. As all the disciples and elders almost lost their balance, Lan Ju has already crossed the invisible bubble around the mountain. The moment he exited its range of just 300 meters from the peak of the mountain, pressure completely disappeared on him, and he floated in the sky while looking down at the dumbfounded elders. Even Lai Peng and the Grand Mage, who was the caster, couldn't believe their eyes. Lan Ju then announced loudly so that every person in the sect hear it, "Disciples of Wuji sect, you have until dawn to prepare yourself for the doom. Those who wish to live can abandon the sect and run for their lives before it becomes too late." Once he was done with his warning, Lan Ju meaningfully stared at the mountain for a while before flying away and returning to his master. As the Zheng reported to Mark how that defensive formation is nothing but a joke along with another piece of information, he fell into thoughts. Why was that fellow at Wuji sect? I don't know his intentions, but we aren't enemies. Not to mention, he is useful to me in the upcoming days. After thinking for a while, Mark made the decision and ordered the Zheng, "Lan Ju, I need you to bring him to me first thing in the morning. His consent doesn't matter. I just cannot afford to accidentally kill him." "Understood," Lan Ju nodded. During the evening, somewhere far away from Mt. Wu, an ordinary-looking young man in ordinary clothes was roaming in a town with the outer sect disciples. Despite not being a disciple of the sect, he was wearing the same clothes as his companions. As the guy was enjoying his time munching the street snacks, one of his companions spoke. "Say, Long Wei, why did you stick around? You have been only here for a couple of weeks and haven't got any opportunity to learn anything." Everyone else looked at their friend. The young man of the four-circle realm answered as if he was prepared beforehand. "I actually offended someone with influence. So, I cannot leave unless things cool down there or I become an inner sect disciple. I should say it is really strange that the elder didn't directly promote you to the inner sect disciple. I mean, you are at four circle, qualified to become one," opinioned another outer sect disciple. Before the young man gets to respond, the remaining one asked, "That's good and all, but will we be able to survive tomorrow?" The young man patted his worried companion with a smile. "Don't need to worry, Brother Bu. According to what Elder Long has informed us, the enemy doesn't have an army. In the case of a war between two armies, the weakest will be used as cannon fodder, but if the enemy has limited numbers, then the fight will be between the strongest and the weakest will be spared." "But Long Wei, what if the Kunlun sect is involved?" The young man answered confidently. "They won't, at least directly, as they will face the consequences. However, since the Iron Palm sect lost a lot of its strength in their recent expedition, it is quite possible that the Kunlun sect will be involved in this war in a way that won't touch the bottom line of Shaolin and Iron Palm sects. Anyways, what happens will happen. Let's forget about tomorrow and enjoy the present. Let's go to the brothel. I wonder if Lady Hua is free to entertain us with her singing." As the rest of them got excited upon meeting the beauty, the young man named Lu Wei let out a deep sigh as he raised his head and stared at the stars. "Leon Empire is making a ruckus as I have planned. According to Uncle Yan, His Majesty also appeared to be quite mad at Emperor Shi. Let's hope that war won't erupt out of my disappearance. And what should I do with this Lu Zhen? He is running amok all over the continent, doing whatever he pleases. He becomes quite uncontrollable. Something had to be done. It is really tough to live the life of a prince. My mind would have been a lot more peaceful had I been born in a commoner family or in a family of scholars. Well, there's nothing to mull over the matter you don't have any control over." The next day dawn at Kunlun sect. "I'll be back in a jiffy, my shats." Mark grabbed the worried face of Song Yue and kissed her forehead. "Be careful." As she nodded, Mark pressed the button on the fist-sized box. The exo suit was equipped on him, and he slowly flew into the sky. Followed by him, Lan Ju flew into the sky, and then Zai Mei on the griffin. Chapter 383, The Gold Dragon Jinlong. Within half an hour of time, Mark neared the destination and stopped his flight. There was an obstacle in front of him in the form of a golden barrier. It was covering the entire mountain. As for the barrier supposed to be created by the allies, Kunlun sect elders, it hasn't happened yet. The barrier of Gold Dragon, Jinlong. Rank 9 peak. Description: it is a self-healing barrier created by the guardian beast of the Wuji sect. The barrier is like a defensive shield that will block the attacks from outside, but will let the attacks from within the barrier pass through it. As Mark was inspecting the barrier, the griffin stopped beside him, and Zai Mei said, "I heard that there is a grand mage surnamed Wang in the enemy's forces. Only he could conjure such a marveling barrier." "No, this was created by a gold dragon, not a human," replied Mark before adding, "The Kunlun sect elders mentioned that the Wuji sect has a guardian beast too, but didn't say that it was a dragon." "A gold dragon? Impossible." Zai Mei was shocked by Mark's words. She further said, "I thought they have gone extinct. If it is really true, then it is highly possible that we might not be able to win this battle." Mark then turned his head to look at the teenager. "What do you know about the gold dragons, Miss Zai?" Zai Mei answered, "The gold dragons are the wisest kind after the white dragons. Thousands of years ago, when the dragons were ruling the earth." "Not the history, the abilities," Mark interrupted her, forcing her to stop showing off her knowledge about the history, and admitted that there's little about their abilities recorded in history. But what she was confident about is the fact that the gold dragon is more of a mage type, able to conjure various spells, and theoretically, they also should have the ability to learn as many spells as they can, just like the human mages. They were also super intelligent to predict the moves of the enemies, and this make them quite lethal. "All right then, we will do something unpredicted." Mark nodded and suddenly turned in a different direction from Mt. Wu, resuming his flight. Lan Ju didn't know what Mark was planning, but he followed him in silence. Zai Mei also followed the suit. Meanwhile, on the top of Mt. Wu, the two grand elders also with the patriarch who were staying awake and alerted since the last evening couldn't help but wonder why the enemy has changed direction. Obviously, with their high sensing range, they spotted Mark and the other two long ago and were prepared to fight. Even they know that the barrier wouldn't be able to stop someone who managed to resist the effect of their ancient formation. However, it will take some time to destroy the barrier, and in that time, they hope to counterattack with their own techniques. But Mark started to go away instead. Was he leaving, or is there another plan? Everyone had this same thought, including Zai Mei, who stubbornly tagged along with Mark to prove her worth. Mark flew for another 20 minutes before landing on top of a high-altitude mountain, located about 26 kilometers far away from the foot of Mt. Wu. On the way, he even saw familiar faces who were still trying to get into their positions. Mark ignored them and kept his eye on Mt. Wu, or more like the shining grand barrier, as he stood on the peak. As the other two also landed beside him, he asked them to give him some space. They moved away, and Mark took out his missile defense system from the storage ring and mounted it on a flat surface. What is this thing? Zai Mei couldn't help but wonder. The missile defense system with 3 launchers appeared damn weird to her, but then again, it is not like it was her first time seeing a strange weapon. Now, the only question left in her mind is, what would this weapon do? Aiming at the golden barrier, Mark started taking out a bunch of X2 and X3 missiles, loading them one after another. By the time he loaded all 40 of them in their respective launchers, it was already morning, and the vision became quite clear for the naked eye. He locked onto the target. First, let's remove the barrier. Mark wanted to use a skill of the defense system, but then he changed his plan at the last second and turned toward Lan Ju. "Can you hit that thing from here?" he asked. Lan Ju shook his head. Only a demigod has the power to destroy it from this far. The meaning behind his words is clear. He would have to transform into the Zheng to strike the target from more than 25 kilometers away. Both of them glanced at Zai Mei. She has yet to gain the trust of Mark, so whether it is okay to reveal the secret to her is something that Mark had to decide for. Mark thought for a bit and said, "Then go closer and strike it from a lower angle." Lan Ju meaningfully nodded and disappeared. Zai Mei wondered what Mark meant by lower angle and its significance, but she promised to not ask questions to satisfy her curiosity if she wants to tag along to participate in this conquest. Hence, she silently stared at Mark and became a witness to what was about to happen to the enemy force. Stopping roughly about 10 kilometers away from Mt. Wu, Lan Ju transformed into a five-tailed scarlet leopard and went into action with a big move. A giant energy sphere filled with 5 different elements — fire, water, wind, earth, and lightning — made its way toward the golden barrier. The entire Kunlun mountain range started shaking like there was an earthquake, but of low magnitude. The elders of the Kunlun sect, Wuji sect, and even Shaolin sect felt their breathing became harder as they sensed the power of a super-powerful demigod. As the strongest beings in the vicinity, Patriarch Lai Peng and the sleeping gold dragon were forced to get out in the open. Both of them saw the incoming energy sphere. As it neared, the gold dragon spoke in a bit of anger, aiming at the middle-aged fellow beside it. Lai Peng, you doomed all of us with your foolishness. Chapter 384. It is a warning shot. I didn't know that the enemy is a pseudo-demigod. Lai Peng had panic clearly written on his face, and he put aside his pride as a supreme realm spirit warrior to beg the gold dragon standing beside him. The attack will reach them in about 30 seconds, and he felt there was enough time if the sect's guardian beast makes another move. However, the gold dragon only scolded him in return for his ignorance. Pseudo-demigod, are you that much of a fool that you lost all of your senses? It roared. What do you mean? Don't tell me that the enemy is a demigod. As Lai Peng didn't properly understand the words, the gold dragon shed light on the matter. There are 5 elements in that sphere coming at us. Don't you understand what that means? There's only one being with the power of a demigod and mastered all the basic 5 attributes. It was at that moment realization dawned upon the patriarch of the Wuji sect, the Zheng of Kunyu Mountains, but that's impossible. How someone like Lu Zhen could have? A gasp escaped from Lai Peng as suddenly everything became connected. Wu Weibao, he is the Zheng. Is this why Lu Zhen was acting so recklessly? When he realized what he had done, regret took over him. He felt like if he had been given another chance, he would have kept his emotions in check and calmly negotiated the terms instead of trying to trap the demigod. Looking at the crestfallen patriarch who lost his motivation to battle, the gold dragon said, "All is not lost yet, Lai Peng. Surrender and negotiate for peace on behalf of the sect. We can end this battle without facing any casualties." "All right, I will kneel before him and apologize. Just get us out of this trouble, Jinlong." Patriarch Lei appeared to have made his decision in an instant, as the energy sphere was only about a couple of kilometers away and will probably reach in 10-12 seconds. Good decision. The gold dragon nodded and closed its eyes. It transformed into countless specks of light before shaping in the form of a barrier inside the existing golden barrier. 10 seconds later, the energy sphere struck the golden barrier, and a huge explosion occurred, flattening everything in a 2-kilometer radius. The Kunlun sect's elders and elite disciples, standing in their respective positions, about 5 kilometers away from Mt. Wu and waiting for the signal, couldn't help but crouch and defend themselves from the debris falling onto them. Unknown to Mark, there were a couple of tiny villages located in the forest, and they were also caught up in this explosion. Fortunately, they were all evacuated, so only the houses and other structures were destroyed. Meanwhile, the disciples living at the foot of the mountain couldn't help but scream in panic. Many of them felt like they were going to die. Fortunately, nothing happened. Half of the golden barrier from the top half was impacted by the explosion and was destroyed. The inner barrier, on the other hand, developed deep cracks all over the place. As the outer golden barrier started to self-heal, the cracked inner barrier disappeared and it went back to its original form, the gold dragon. Jinlong, upon returning to its beast form, was seen with injuries all over its body. It couldn't hold on and just collapsed onto the ground. Before it lost its unconsciousness, the dragon did manage to warn the stunned Lai Peng for the last time to keep his word, for they don't have any means to protect themselves from the following attacks of the scarlet leopard. But what's the use? As soon as the barrier was cleared, 40 projectiles were launched at Mt. Wu, all of them at the same time without any gap. 20 of them are X-3 missiles, with each of them having the capacity to eradicate every existence below 7 Circle, using the power of Advanced 7 Circle, and 20 of them are X-2 missiles, with each of them having the power of Advanced 6 Circle. As none of them contained any ether energy, Lai Peng and the other elders couldn't sense them until they were in plain sight. Seeing so many projectiles raining down at the sect at the same time, Lai Peng could only try to protect himself. A shield of ether energy covered him up. Boom, boom, boom. Simultaneous powerful explosions were heard on the top of Mt. Wu, making giant craters one after another. By the end of the last explosion, there's nothing left on top of the mountain except for lightly injured Grand Elders, a few heavily injured Elders, an unconscious gold dragon, and an unharmed Patriarch. The remaining Elders, elite disciples, residences, caves, ponds, beautiful fountains, everything was destroyed. In an instant, the 5174-meter mountain had become a 4,000-odd-meter mountain with somewhat a flat peak, and surrounded by an enormous amount of dust, smoke, and harmful gaseous substances. Cough, cough. Lai Peng slowly rose to his feet covered by dust from top to him and looked at his surroundings. Tears almost welled up in his eyes. Our sect, everything has gone. Not yet, Lai Peng. A familiar voice interrupted him, and Patriarch Lai couldn't help but turn around. The place was full of dust, so his vision was completely blocked, but as the figure walked to him closer, he was able to see the person. Wu Weibao, Lai Peng gritted his teeth in anger. He wanted to rush forward and kill him, but upon remembering his earlier conversation with the sect's guardian beast, he forced himself to calm down. Meanwhile, Lan Ju continued to walk until he was only a couple of feet away from his enemy. With a look of indifference, he said, "Consider this as a warning shot. My master doesn't want to spill the blood of innocents. That is why he doesn't allow me to blow up your entire sect." "Okay, take my life and leave the sect alone," replied Lai Peng with a reddened face. Clenching his fists, he further added, "You can also take all the treasures of our sect." Lan Ju shook his head. "The terms are changed now. My master wanted to make an example out of the Wuji sect for a greater purpose. So, here are the new terms my master has informed me just in case you suddenly changed your mind about the war like you did now." "What are they?" helplessly asked Lai Peng. Lan Ju took out a scroll from his right sleeve and handed it to Lai Peng. Chapter 385 marks new conditions and AMP, betrayal of the Grand Mei. Lai Peng took a look at the list of new demands. Surprisingly, they didn't ask for his life. However, they were even more absurd. The first demand is something similar to the last time: the lives of the elder and the other 2 disciples, who plotted against the deaths of Zai Ling's companions and Kunlun sect's elder. The second demand is a handover of every treasure, including the guardian beast and their precious Eye of Talum. And the final demand is the disbandment of the Wuji sect. All the disciples must join the Kunlun sect and swear their loyalty to the new Patriarch. As for the elders, Grand Elders and Patriarch Lei, they can join the Kunlun sect or they can leave for some other place they wish. Mark also didn't forget to add a postscript, P.S., that there is no negotiation here and failure to comply with even one of the conditions will lead to the death of every disciple belonging to Wuji sect. Disbandment of the sect and giving away the Eye of Talum. There's no way I could accept such demands. I should escape this place and plan for revenge later, thought Lai Peng. He intended to make a fake promise and leave this place with a teleportation talisman he had in his storage card. Even if the disciples died, as long as the sect isn't disbanded, he could still revive it and counterattack with the help of other sects. There's no lack of geniuses in the world anyways, well, at least in his opinion. However, he never expected that his enemies didn't let their guard down. In what appeared to be perfect timing, just as he was about to speak about how he needed a bit of time to talk with the 2 Grand Elders, a large-scale translucent scarlet barrier appeared in the surroundings, imprisoning Mt. Wu and other locations. With Mt. Wu as a center and a 5-kilometer radius, the barrier indeed covered a vast amount of area. and this took almost every disciple of the Five Circle, and above belonging to the Kunlun sect. As the both of them sensed the barrier and Lai Peng abruptly turn his head in some direction, Lan Ju then said, "If you planning to escape then, it is too late, Lai Peng. And show even the slightest of resistance, I will take the action. Or you can try killing me, although the outcome will only become worse instead of getting better even if such a miracle happens. This time we will only give you 10 breaths of time to make the decision. Say yes or no." After saying what he had to, Lan Ju shifted his attention to the surroundings as the dust was becoming thin at a rapid pace. "I see, it's that man's job, huh?" Lan Ju ignored Lai Peng and stared in a particular direction. Soon all the dust, smoke, and mildly harmful gaseous substances in the air were purified, as all of them were sucked into some kind of black hole created by Grand Mage Wang Qin. After clearing out the air, Wang Qin looked in the direction of Lan Ju and Lai Peng with a hardened expression. "Patriarch Lai, get away from there," he shouted as he was about to cast a powerful magic spell. Lan Ju raised his right eyebrow and raised his palm. As ether energy gathered at the top of his palm, he commented without addressing specifically anyone. "It appeared like some people never learned their lesson. Mercy is useless on such idiots." Wang Kai's incantation only made it through halfway, but Lan Ju has already finished conjuring a lightning spear, shocking the Grand Mage. Just as he was about to throw it toward the Grand Mage of the Wuji sect, Lai Peng shouted, "I agree to your peaceful terms. Please don't kill anyone." He then quickly turned his head and addressed the mage. "Grand Mage Wang, you two back down. We lost the war." "Patriarch Lai." Wang Qin raised his voice, but as Lai Peng sharply stared at him, the Grand Mage put the staff on the ground. Lan Ju nodded and threw the lightning spear toward the sky. It traveled for a few seconds and exploded, giving a signal to Mark to not attack for a while. It was what they discussed earlier. Patriarch Lai Peng then looked back at the Grand Mage. "Tell Grand Elder Du that he is free from his punishment. Wuji sect is going to cease to exist and merge with the Kunlun sect. I also want you to inform everyone to submit their treasures given by the sect so far." "Including the staff of Talim?" Wang Qin asked as he glanced at the exquisite staff in his hands. "Everything," replied Lai Peng with a serious expression. "Okay, but I have a request. Can you please?" Wang Qin gestured for the Patriarch to come near him. Lai Peng asked Lan Ju's permission before walking toward the Grand Mage. The Zheng didn't do anything as he was being confident to take action before they complete any unexpected move. Little did either Lan Ju or Lai Peng expect that as soon as the Patriarch reached the Grand Mage, the latter swiftly threw out an object that looked similar to that of an hourglass, but in the size of a palm. In that very instant, everything froze around Wang Qin, including Lan Ju. However, unlike others whose time was completely frozen, Lan Ju could see his surroundings. His eyes could move. A treasure that controls the time. Meanwhile, Wang Qin jumped high and swung down his arm, which was covered in ether energy. It was so sharp that Lai Peng's arm was cut off from his body and fell to the ground. Wang Qin quickly grabbed it with his left hand and raised the staff with his right hand and unleashed a skill. A circle with mystical drawings appeared below the frozen Patriarch, releasing a concentrated beam of purple flames from underneath the target's foot. Lan Ju saw the high intense flames consume the flesh and skeleton, leaving behind nothing but ash on the ground. The purple flames. Lan Ju walked through his memory lane for a short while before he said, "I remember my late master telling me about this Azu clan of the Plane of Fire and Ice. The clan members had the flames in purple color, often called the Cursed Flames or Demonic Flames. Just now, I sense the demonic presence in yours. You are from the Azu clan, aren't you?" Wang Qin raised his head and let out a smile. Chapter 386, Wang Qin of the Azu clan. "I must say, you do know your stuff for someone who has grown up in the world of these mortals all your life," commented the Grand Mage as he crouched down. He slowly removed the storage ring from Lai Peng's hand that was cut off earlier. In the meantime, the hourglass lost its effectiveness and fell on the ground and cracked. The restriction on Lan Ju's movements was also removed. Lan Ju furrowed his brows. "What are you doing?" "Nothing, I was just taking the thing that belonged to us, that's all," replied the Grand Mage. He then added, "You see, Eye of Talim belonged to the Azu clan in the first place." "Doesn't matter. Every treasure presented on this mountain belonged to my master," Lan Ju said in a serious tone. To which Wang Qin burst out into laughter. "Ha ha ha ha, what a funny joke. Do you really believe that you are invincible or something? I have seen enough demigods to know how to deal with them." The Grand Mage raised his staff once again and slammed its tip onto the ground, unleashing the ancient formation and locking down everyone. "You have already tried that last time. It didn't work," Lan Ju commented and proceeded to gather the energy in his hand. He doesn't want to waste his time with this peak 8 circle mage. However, Wang Qin didn't look scared at all. Did he have any tricks up his sleeve? Might be possible, but Lan Ju could care less about it, as this Grand Mage standing before him is already dead in his eyes. As a spear made of ether energy formed in Lan Ju's hands, Wang Qin took out another hourglass, surprising the former. As the hourglass was thrown into the air, Lan Ju reacted in a timely manner. Instead of motioning the spear toward the enemy's heart, he activated his teleportation skill and made his escape. The barrier conjured by the collective efforts of the members of the Kunlun sect was bypassed, and Lan Ju returned to his master's side. Mark was taken aback by the sudden appearance of Lan Ju. Zai Mei, who was already stunned by the earlier performance of the missile defense system, couldn't help but wonder whether the war is already over. However, Lan Ju appeared to be in a hurry. As soon as he reached his master, he didn't give any time for the explanation and directly grabbed Mark while saying, "We need to move away quickly." "What do you mean?" Mark had confusion clearly written on his face. Just a moment ago, Lan Ju gave him a signal that indicated the surrender of Lai Peng, but now he was telling him to leave the place. What might have happened? Mark wanted to know the matter, but Lan Ju didn't have time to explain him. He decided to first teleport away to as far as he could, and then answer. Soon, the hourglass was activated, and time froze in Wang Qin's surroundings once again. As the wave of colorless energy passed through Zai Mei, she was frozen on the spot just like all the disciples of the Wuji sect and Kunlun sect. Meanwhile, Lan Ju and Mark appeared outside of the mountain range, located about 50 kilometers away from Mt. Wu. "Sorry about that, Master, but the enemy appeared to possess a treasure that can stop the time to the individuals within a certain range. It is something I have never witnessed or heard of it before." Lan Ju continued to explain everything about how this Grand Mage belonged to the Azu clan, one of the enemy clans of the Lan clan, back at the Plane of Ice and Fire, how he killed Lai Peng, etc. After hearing him out, Mark furrowed his brows. Why are these simple matters getting too complicated? He thought for a bit and said, "Then let's teleport back to Mt. Wu. We cannot let him get away." No, what if he had a third hourglass? Lan Ju was worried about Mark's safety. "I think it is best for you to stay here. I will return after taking care of him." Wang Qin's purple flames or so, whatever, will not be able to hurt him a little bit, but Mark was different. If Lai Peng can be killed, then there is a high chance that Mark can be killed too, and he wouldn't be able to stop him from doing that. It was for this very reason Lan Ju bothered to take Mark far away from the battle zone. For someone of Wang Qin's caliber, it wouldn't be shocking to point out Mark's location by simply tracing the path of the projectiles fired earlier. From his earlier experience, Lan Ju had already figured out what can that hourglass do. It stops the time for exactly 5 seconds but had a range of 30 kilometers. That's like affecting more than 2,800 km of area. In 5 seconds, Wang Qin might not be able to travel 16 kilometers to reach Mark, but what's to say that he doesn't possess other mystical items? Hence, Lan Ju felt the need to act with caution. On the other hand, Mark didn't think it was a big deal as the Zheng was making it to be. He convinced the Zheng with his strategy to get back to the battlefield. Meanwhile, on the top of Mt. Wu, the Grand Mage threw away the Patriarch's hand and took the ring into his hand. He had a grin on his face upon connecting his consciousness with the ring. I didn't expect to get my hands on the Eye of Talim, and even Jade Pipa this easily. I guess I should thank Lu Zhen and his Zheng for creating an opportunity for me to strike Lai Peng, although I would have done it eventually some other time in the future. Well, anyways, since I have already obtained what I want, it's time to leave this place. I need to find a secret hideout to study Xiao Shu's memories and look for a way to break through to Immortal him. As he was still in his thoughts, two figures popped out of thin air just a few meters away from him. One was the familiar opponent, and another was something that looked like a mysterious alien creature. However, before he even reacted, Mark, who was in the exo suit, raised his index finger and clicked on a skill. Gravity Dome 200G. In the next instant, enormous pressure descended onto the surroundings, forcing everyone on the top of the mountain to their knees. Thud. Chapter 387, End of Wuji Sect. Wang Qin collapsed onto the ground without being able to resist the gravitational pressure within the gravity dome that covered the entire area with a 1-kilometer radius from the caster, i.e. Mark. As for the others, they were still in shock to see the death of their patriarch, although not clear how he died. They assumed that Lan Ju did it, and now they were forced to lie on the ground. Arg! Wang Qin let out a scream as he struggled to move. Since Mark had gone with the maximum amount of gravity, even Lan Ju is barely resisting the pressure. For someone like Wang Qin who doesn't have a great physique, it was hell. Mark wasn't done with his attack. He proceeded to summon the lightning clone while slowly walking toward the enemy. As the lightning clone appeared beside him, Mark passed an order: "Clone, you rip off his arms before he tries anything funny. And Lan Ju, just cut off his head and get rid of him. You bastards, you won't get away with this." These were the last words of the Grand Mage before his arms and heads were cut off simultaneously. Somewhere on an island located in a sea of lava, there was a man in the middle of deep meditation. There was a thick layer of energy around him. Violent purple-colored flames were dancing all over the energy. They looked as if they were about to erupt at any moment. All of a sudden, the man opened his eyes and the layer of energy disappeared. My life clone was gone. Soon, a gush of new memories entered his mind. He first gritted his teeth in anger. That damn Zheng, I'll skin it alive. Making a breakthrough into the immortal realm, 11 Circle, should have certain requirements, and these bastards, elders of my clan, aren't cooperative with the information. I guess I have no choice but to make a trip to the plane of mortals and acquire the Eye of Talim. Lu Zhen, huh? The same day evening. After everyone was finished with dinner and the servants cleaned the table, the guests left for their own rooms except for Mark and Shang Wei. The third prince of the Phoenix Empire was captured by Lan Ju as soon as the war is over. He was put on house arrest until the evening. Once he was reluctantly done eating, he finally got the opportunity to talk with Mark. As they were sitting alone in the room, Shang Wei grew a bit nervous, not expecting to be caught in this situation. Fortunately for him, Mark just wanted to ask him why he was at the Wuji sect during that time. After knowing what Mark can do, Shang Wei would never dare to lie to him. He revealed everything about how a powerful mercenary group was hired by his eldest brother to assassinate him, and how he used this opportunity to his advantage. After thinking for a while, Mark didn't comment anything on the matter and simply replied, "Tag along with us. We will safely drop you at your home, Prince Shang. But whatever stories you cook up later on, we have nothing to do with them. Just remember that." That reassurance gave Shang Wei a lot of relief. He couldn't help but let out a smile and thank Mark for the favor. 2 days later, the two bicorn carriages with their respective coachmen were ready to depart. Song Yue and others were seated in their respective carriages. Zai Mei hopped onto her griffin, and Mark was having a chat with Kunlun Sec's acting patriarch. Jinlong, the gold dragon, also became a passenger, for he reluctantly swore his loyalty to Mark in the name of the heavens, and both of them consumed each other's blood with a verbal contract. "Brother Lu, You have done a great favor for us despite the fact that we haven't done much to deserve such favor. Kunlun sect will always be in your debt, said Ding Tai, a grand elder and the acting patriarch. Mark replied, well, if you want to repay the debt, then please do use your influence to put a good word to the emperor and the other wealthy individuals. It will help my business to prosper. It was for this very reason he rewarded the sect. They will give him free publicity and bring huge clients to him while he can put his attention to other matters. There are not many days left till D-Day when the system will come online. So, he doesn't have the time to travel around for business anymore. Sure, I'll do everything in my hands to help you out. As Ding Tai gave his word, Mark nodded with a smile and proceeded to board the carriage. Nay, nay. Soon, the two bicorn carriages resumed their journey to the south. For the next few days, they only traveled. They crossed the Leon Empire's border to enter the Western Moon Kingdom. But instead of making a visit to the royal palace, Mark continued to travel further south and entered the Phoenix Empire through the Kunyu mountain range. From there, the group split up into two groups. One group consisted of Mark, Jinlong, and Lanju. The other group consisted of Zai Mei and her griffin, Lanju, Song Yue, Shang Wei, the manticore, the golden kitten, and the black knight, Song Yun. The first group ventured into the mountains on foot, while the other group made their way to the Phoenix Empire's imperial city in the bicorn carriages. As for the reason why Jinlong was tagging along with Mark despite how he had already a demigod at his service, it is because of the low amount of loyalty points. Jinlong's current loyalty to Mark is only at 10%, which is enough for the gold dragon to break the pact between them at any time. Hence, he needed Lanju to keep an eye on him for the moment. As for Zai Mei, there's always Manticore and Song Yun for Song Yue's protection. Adding to the fact that he had shown her what he can do, Mark felt like she won't do anything that will only become the reason for her death. Chapter 388, Song Yue returns home. The next day morning, somewhere in the Kunyu Mountains. It was the dawn of an important day for Mark. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep all night properly and freshened up even before sunrise. And what did he do next? Well, nothing. Mark kept on staring at his pocket watch. There are still a few hours left till noon. Man, why is time running so slowly? His concentration was disturbed upon hearing the sounds of bullets outside. He left his room and stepped outside of the house without informing the other two housemates, Lanju and Jinlong. As soon as he left the house, he witnessed the bandits, or more like their families, started gathering outside on the street, while a group of bandits with handguns appeared to be on a march. From time to time, they were shooting bullets into the air, disturbing everyone's sleep for no good reason. Several people, especially the wives and the children, had this annoyed look on their faces, but they couldn't say anything else too, as these brave soldiers will bring them back to their homeland. Mark, on the other hand, had a different view. He was elated to see the progression of the guns. Being in a good mood also made him ignore the sound pollution and stood there for a while until the leader of the group spotted him. The group stopped their march when they reached the guest residence where Mark is standing outside. The leader greeted him with a deep bow and introduced himself as Hu Kifeng, a general of the Kunyu Royal Force, i.e. Kunyu bandits. As Mark nodded in return, the five-circle realm spirit warrior continued to say, His Majesty ordered us, the generals, to pass you a message if we ever see you during the day. What is it? Asked Mark. Hu Kifeng answered, It's nothing important, Lord Lu. His Majesty just wants to have an important talk with you regarding the war and supplies. If you tell us when you will be free to talk, he will be visiting you with our Grand Tutor. Now it is a good time to talk, replied Mark. Earlier day, he was introduced to this Grand Tutor of the Western Yan, who was the only Exalt Realm expert in the midst of Feng Wu's army. He was their backbone too. However, Mark didn't think much of him after defeating Supreme Realm experts with ease. The Grand Tutor was just another weakling, but then again, he is here to talk with them anyway, so he agreed to talk. As Hu Kifeng bowed and left with his group, Mark mumbled, I guess I should also write everything on the paper of what I had in mind. Imperial City, Phoenix Empire. Knock, knock, knock. The series of knocks disturbed the Emperor's sleep, making him a bit angry. "Come in," he shouted. The door was opened and an Imperial guard enters. He bowed. "I apologize, Your Majesty, but it is an emergency." Emperor Shang's eyes widened and he became fully awake by the word emergency. "What is it?" he asked. The Imperial guard replied, "Your Majesty, our patrolling guard spotted 2 carriages bearing the crest of Eastern Sun's royal family. A 7-circle realm powerful beast and its rider were also spotted in the skies." Eastern Sun's royal family. Shang Fu furrowed his brows in displeasure. "But we didn't receive any letter. Did they think my city is a place where they can come and go as they please?" The Imperial Guard then gulped in a bit of fear and further said, "According to Supreme Commander, the beast is of Emperor grade." A beast emperor. Emperor Shang's eyes immediately changed as soon as he heard those words. He shouted, "Who's there?" As the servants rushed in, the Emperor ordered them to prepare his bath and clothes. He then ordered the Imperial Guard to make preparations for the guests from the north. Ah, yes. The Imperial Guard was surprised by the sudden change in Emperor's attitude, but he didn't dare question His Majesty and hurriedly scurry away from the room. Roughly about an hour later, the 2 bicorn carriages stopped at Genesis Weapons Store and were parked in the training grounds. Everyone got down. The 2 guards at the training grounds greeted Song Yue and Shang Wei with a deep bow. While Shang Wei simply nodded, Song Yue, who was familiar with them, let out a smile and conversed. "Xingheng, Lang Mu, how are you doing? Are there any troubles in our absence?" One of them replied, feeling elated as his existence is acknowledged by someone like Song Yue. "Lady Song, thank you for your kind wishes. It's been quiet around here ever since the store was closed. Once in a while, some kids would try to trespass on the ground to play games. And once in a while, some people from the Imperial Palace will come to check whether Lord Lu returned or not. Other than that, there's no problem here." What about little Chang? She was a little bit surprised about the closure of the store. After all, her fiancé gave the spare keys to the store to Chang Bo to work as the interim manager and take advanced orders. "Have you seen him around?" she asked. Soldier Lang Mu answered her question. "Lady Song, he stopped coming for the past 3 weeks. But I heard that the kid opened a store branch somewhere in the city and was taking orders from there. We don't know the details." "Is that so?" Song Yue assumed that Elena must have given him the money to do that, as she knew that the android was given 100,000 gold coins to open a new restaurant and manage it. "Okay, good job for looking after the store and the grounds. Here." She gave them a gold coin each as a token of appreciation and started walking, as they thanked her with big smiles. Zai Mei watched her actions from behind, and her eyes narrowed in displeasure. This woman is weak but very difficult to beat. After unlocking the shutter, Lan Ju then lifted it up, and everyone entered through the invisible barrier to see the interior of the duplex mansion. Shang Wei and Zai Mei never came here, so they were quite surprised by how beautiful and clean it looked. However, Song Yue appeared to have different thoughts. She couldn't help but comment, "There's a lot of dirt around. Was Alan and Elena out of the city for a few days or something?" As far as she can remember, there has never been a day when she saw the house with dust around. Every part of the house, including the store, always looked sparklingly clean. She quickly took out her communication talisman that connects to her best friend Lin Zhu. As they were communicating on a daily basis, she knew about her adventures with Alan. So she thought her friend would have the knowledge. But then, since she planned on surprising Lin Zhu and purposely didn't inform her arrival at the city, Song Yue put away the communication talisman and looked at the manticore. "Mr. Baltro, I'm going to Lin Clan to meet my friend. Can you keep an eye on the store and others?" She glanced at Zai Mei as she said this, hoping that this beast king would understand. Thankfully, she understood what Song Yue wants to say and nodded. "You go." After a while, in one of the bicorn carriages, Song Yue, her disguised father, and Shang Wei left to visit Lin Zhu's residence. Chapter 389. The system is online and AMP, a series of notifications. A few hours later at Kunyu Bandit's hideout. Mark was walking back and forth in his room while checking out his pocket watch from time to time. The cooldown should have been over. What's taking so long? He has been this way for the past couple of hours, being nervous and excited at the same time. The anticipation is occupying his mind so much that he refused to eat lunch until he receives the notification. At 1:30 in the afternoon, his wait was finally over with a familiar sound ringing in his ears, followed by a series of notifications on the holographic screen. Ding, the system upgrade is completed. All functions will resume as they should. Ding, the system has upgraded to level 6. Ding, the bloodline category has been unlocked in the system store. Ding, the unique weapons category has been unlocked in the system store. Ding, the super advanced attribute has been unlocked in the attribute category. Ding, say, I's passive skill is upgraded to the Eyes of God skill. Ding, ultimate defense I and ultimate defense II received an upgrade. Ding, lottery wheel has been upgraded. Ding, Tashanan has evolved to ancient grade. You received 1 million credits as a reward. Ding, Tashanan's name is changed to Anand Spencer. Ding, you formed a contract with Yang, the anaconda of Fujian. It is a beast king. You received 5,000 credits as a reward. Ding, you formed a contract with Qinlong, the azure dragon of the east. It is of ancient grade. You received 1 million credits as a reward. Ding, you formed a contract with Beihu, the white tiger of the west. It is of ancient grade. You received 1 million credits as a reward. Ding, you formed a contract with Xuanwu, the black tortoise of the north. It is of ancient grade. You received 1 million credits as a reward. Ding, you formed a contract with Zhuk, the vermilion bird of the north. It is of ancient grade. You received 1 million credits as a reward. Ding, you tamed all 4 holy beasts. You received 1 million credits and a title as a reward. Title, Master of Holy Beast. Description: when equipped, the beasts will listen to the user's words regardless of their loyalty percentage. Ding, you formed a contract with Jinlong, the gold dragon of MT. Wu, it is a beast emperor. You received 50,000 credits as a reward. System, you are back. I really missed you, said Mark in excitement as soon as he received a series of notifications. It's been 4 weeks and stuff happened. So yes, he indeed missed the system. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the latter. It responded in its usual style. Ding, thank you, however, the consciousness of the system has been in a sleeping mode. Hence, the system cannot say that it missed the host. Yeah, you are indeed the sassy system that I remembered. Mark was too happy to mind its cold reply. He opened the quest list and went on to click on them one by one. Ding, you completed side quest I Ether Sniping Rifle and Ether Assault Rifle were unlocked in the gallery. Ether Sniping Rifle. Grade Silver. Effective range, 1,000 meters, 100% accuracy. Absolute range, 2,000 meters. Ammunition, 12.7 mmx 99 mm. Maximum velocity, 900 ms bullet, 1700 ms ether bullet. Attachments available. Skills. The Bullet of Lightning shoots an ether bullet that travels at the speed of lightning and pierces the enemy with 120% attack power, max stat, 5.9. Range, 1,000 meters, CD, 60 minutes. Description: a sniping rifle that can shoot the ether bullets of peak 4 circle and assassinate enemies from far away without making any sound. Price 800 gold coins. Ether Assault Rifle. Grade Silver. Effective range, 600 meters, 100% accuracy. Absolute range, 1,200 meters. Ammunition, 7.62 x 39. Rate of fire, 960 rounds per minute. Maximum velocity, 900 ms bullet, 1700 ms ether bullet. Attachments available. Skills. The Rapid Fire Shoots 20 ether bullets almost at the same time, with each one carrying 110% attack power of the user. Max stat 4.9. Range 600 meters. CD 60 minutes. Description: an assault rifle that destroys enemies before they even had the chance to make a move. The maximum power that an ether bullet can have is peak force circle. Price 800 gold coins. Ding, you received a new side quest eye. Side quest eye. Earn a total of 10 million gold coins from selling the weapons created by the system, excluding all types of ammunition. In progress 0%. Reward: Battle Tank IV Gold Grade, Rocket Launcher Gold Grade, and Battle Suit Gold Grade. Battle Suit. Sounds like my exoskeleton suit of lower grade. Very cool, but earning 10 million will take a lot of time through normal sales that don't include ammunition. Mark continued to scroll down. Ding, you completed the side quest IV Tame 10 Monsters. You received taming skills. Ding, you completed side quest III. The Amulet of Diu has been sent to the inventory. Ding, you received a new side quest III. Ding, you completed the side quest III, spent a total of 5 million credits. You received a title, Great Customer. Title, VIP Customer. Description: upon equipping this title, the user could purchase any weapon in bulk with a chosen number of items at one time. Well, this is a great one actually. Now, I could just purchase bullets in bulk without worrying about wasting my time. Mark continued to scroll down the notifications, keeping a satisfactory smile on his face. Ding, you received a new side quest III. Side quest III. Spend a total of 50 million credits. Reward: Staff of Blessing. The Staff of Blessing. I wonder what that is. Is it like that dragon statue that gives me free rewards? Without taking a look at further notifications, he contacted the system for its details. Ding. Staff of Blessing. Grade NA. Description: using the Staff of Blessing, the user can grant his original stats to anyone for a brief amount of time. The greater the number of targets, the lesser the time limit. Once used, 24 hours are needed for the reactivation of its ability. Mark read the description a couple of times to confirm whether he understood it correctly or not. Once he confirmed it, he inquired with the system in order to understand the potential of this staff. System, what if I use this to empower the rank 1 battle robots, let's say 10 of them? How much time will they be able to wield my power? Mark wasn't interested to give powers to the humans. He only wanted to know whether he can create a powerful army of robots that can not only operate the battle tanks and other weapons, but also fight with the enemies through fists. And it appeared that he was extremely fortunate. The system gave him a great piece of news. Ding, the host can grant the blessing to 10 battle robots of rank 1 for a period of 30 minutes. The time can be extended further if the host grants the blessing of lesser stats. 30 minutes, Mark gasped at once. He expected it would be like 5 or 10 minutes, but knowing that it is more than an hour, he couldn't help but imagine the scenario of 100 robots. He asked it right away, what if there were like 100 of them? Ding, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Wow, I can have an army of 100 robots with a 9-circle realm cultivation level for 3 whole minutes. That will be enough to crush any empire's army. And what if I become a demigod in the future? With such an army, even if the entire world united to fight against me, they will still lose. All I need to make sure that the robots were equipped with proper weapons. Ding, rank 1 battle robots cannot handle the power of demigods. They will crumble to powder in an instant if the host attempts such a thing. Rank 9 battle robots are recommended for such action. Ding, rank 1 battle robots can only handle the power of the Supreme Realm for a brief period of 5 minutes. After that, they will be destroyed by overloading. Rank 6 battle robots are recommended for such action. Ding, it is recommended to use rank 6 stats on battle robots of rank 1. Ah, is that so? Mark was slightly disappointed by the reality, making him realize that he was getting too far ahead of himself. But then again, Having an army of a bunch of rank 6 robots also sounded awesome. Of course, that doesn't mean he will not use rank 9 stats on the battle robots for the time being. Each of them only costs 200 gold coins. Hence, he can just spend some money and use those robots for 5 minutes. Those crucial 5 minutes will be enough to win a war, in Mark's opinion. After calming down by taking deep breaths, he then mumbled, "Enough fooling around. Let's focus on what I have acquired so far, not on the ones that are still far away." Mark went back to the notification window to read the rest. Ding, you completed the main quest, Breakthrough to rank 7. You receive 64,000 credits. Your share in the weapon sale increases to 80%. Ding, you failed to choose the advanced pathway between Dungeon Creator and Tamer. As a result, the host's profession will continue to stay on the path of a summoner. Ding, you completed the main quest, Breakthrough to rank 8. You receive 256,000 credits. Your share in the weapon sale increases to 90%. Ding, you completed the main quest, Breakthrough to rank 9. You receive 1,024,000 credits. Your share in the weapon sale increases to 100%. Ding, congratulations on achieving the Supreme Realm. You received a mysterious package from the system as an appreciation gift. Ding, you received a new main quest. Main quest, become rank 10. Reward 10 million credits, random mithril grade item. Ding, you received a trade request from the system. Trade use Jade Pipa for 30 million credits. Ding, you received a trade request from the system. Trade Wang Zuo, the Divine Throne damaged for 100 million credits. Ding, you received a trade request for Talim's items, Eye of Talim and Staff of Talim. Trade the weapons for a combined amount of 10 million credits or 1 upgrade crystal, superior grade. He acquired 11 more semi-divine weapons, but the system was interested in only those 4. The others were ignored. Hence, Mark was sure that he needed to dismantle them for credits. But before that, there were several things that are left to do, like checking out the rewards, new features, new items in the store, etc. And the first thing he decided to do is to open the gift. Open inventory. He scrolls down for a while before finding the image of a cardboard box with a question mark on top of it. Mark proceeded to click on it and then proceeded to open it. The box disappeared and a number of things popped up in the inventory while he received new notifications. Ding, you opened the mysterious package. An upgrade crystal superior, an upgrade stone superior, a lottery pick ticket 14 days, a unique skill, B2 Spirit Stealth Bomber and Mark 14 Nuclear Bomb, one-time use. Man, today is my lucky day, or what? These rewards are too awesome. I guess I really did a good thing on upgrading it to rank 9. A B2 Spirit Stealth Bomber. It's one of the coolest aircraft ever built. I always wanted to bring it back, but costs too high to build one. The upgrade stone can be used on the missile defense system. The upgrade crystal can be used on Alan. There's one upgrade crystal in an unfinished quest, and another can be acquired through the trade if I play my cards right in negotiation. I can give both of them to Elena, making her reach rank 8 just like that. Speaking of Elena and Alan, I wonder what they were doing. Due to the sudden urge about contacting his dear android siblings, Mark asked the system to send a message to Elena. However, the reply from the system didn't appear to be positive. Ding, Elena Spencer's current status is dead. What did you say? Mark's facial expression changed drastically. Chapter 390, Tracking System. What do you mean her status is dead? Mark raised his voice as he questioned the system. Explain how deep the problem is. Mark never expected that someone in the Phoenix Empire would dare to attack her in his absence. But then again, he was also aware that androids cannot die. Even if they were completely destroyed, as long as he pays enough credits, the system will bring them back to life while retaining their memories. He confirmed it on the day when he gained Alan as a quest reward. It is also the reason he gave them the freedom to do whatever they wanted while he was on a long vacation. But that doesn't mean he is okay with them getting killed by enemies. After all, there's also emotional bonding between him and the other two. He will have his revenge for sure, but before that, he would have to understand the core issue. Fortunately, the system was quite cooperative in explaining the details and providing him with the solution. Ding, Elena's core is intact and safe, but it has been severed from her body. Her status is dead. Ding, the system recommends the host purchase the tracking system through which the host can track the location of androids, beasts, weapons, and everything bound to the host's soul. Ding, proceed to purchase. Mark didn't respond to the system's sale offer but instead asked, "You said Elena's core was severed. So, if I buy this tracking system, I will track the whereabouts of the core but not the body. Am I correct?" Ding, correct. An android's core contains everything ranging from its data, memories, to its energy. Without the core, the body is nothing more than a lump piece of metal. All right, I'll buy it. Mark didn't even think of asking the system about the costs as it wouldn't matter. Not because he is rich or something, but it is due to the fact that Mark treats Elena like a younger sibling, and you cannot compare a sibling's life to money. Ding, 10,000 credits were deducted. The tracking system is added to the character. Go to the character screen to use the function. Mark didn't waste the time in opening the character screen where his stats were shown. As the UI has been updated, it looked slightly different. The character screen was divided into several tabs. One had the stats, one had the list of his properties, one had the list of his contracted beasts and their details, one had the list of his skills, one is dedicated to Mark's factory, one is dedicated to quests, one is dedicated to his soul-bound weapons, one had the list of androids, one had the list of VIP clients and their level, one is dedicated to lottery wheel system, one is dedicated to mining system, one has the list of the store's branches and their data. One had the list of all the weapons and their respective prices sold in the store, and lastly, there is a tracking system. He clicked on the last tab and opened the tracking system. There was one big circle in the middle of the screen, and there was another circle beside it that had the symbol of lock and the number 1000 written below it. Mark didn't need an explanation to understand how this works. He clicked on the second circle right away and purchased it for 1000 credits. Once the two were unlocked, he clicked on one of the empty circles. 3D illustrations of several beings popped up before his eyes. If Mark had been doing this in some other situation, he would have been amazed, but right now, his mood wasn't good. Hence, he didn't appreciate the system's artwork and just clicked on the second image. Ding, lock Elena. You cannot change once you select the target. Do it. The illustrations disappeared, and Elena's image filled one circle. He selected Alan for the second one. Once he was done with his selection, Mark proceeded to click on Elena. This location, Mark's expression changed as he saw the directions and the distance. He could accurately guess where Elena's core was. In the next instant, he hurriedly clicked on Alan. As their locations ended up the same, Mark asked, "System, can you send a message to Alan?" Ding, Alan Spencer's status is dormant, can receive the message but cannot send it back. He was also attacked. Mark's heartbeat spiked up once again. He gritted his teeth. Damn it, I need to leave. Meanwhile, at Lin Wang's mansion, Imperial City. In one of the rooms of the mansion, Alan was seen unconsciously lying on the bed with Lin Zhu and Song Yue standing nearby. Both of these best friends appeared to be in the middle of an argument, although it is mostly Lin Zhu doing the whole arguing while the Minister of Personnel, Lin Wang, had a look of worry on his face as he was walking back and forth outside the room. It is true that I brought Alan into the world of adventuring, but it was Elena who brought us to this mission. It was not my fault. You are being unreasonable. Lin Zhu shouted at Song Yue as the latter commented that she shouldn't have dragged Alan with her. And do you think my fiancé would care who was at fault here? Try to understand the situation, Zhu Zhu, replied Song Yue. She was actually more worried about her friend. Lin Zhu didn't back down and said in a harsh tone, "What is there to understand? He will kill us and probably destroy our clan, right? Let him do what that devil incarnate wants. I'll never apologize to him." Hey, that's going too far. Mind your tone, Lin Zhu, he is my husband. Song Yue furrowed her brows in displeasure. Even if Lin Zhu is her best friend, how could this girl call her fiancé a devil? This is something Song Yue will not sit out. However, Lin Zhu became so crazy that she wasn't thinking straight at all. She exploded without having control over her emotions. Then, I guess he is a divine being, right? What a joke. For the sake of accomplishing his goals, your husband will go to any extent. He is selfish to the core. I'm telling you, he is a warmonger who will burn this entire world one day. Falling in love with him, choosing him as your husband and supporting his activities, you are equally guilty, Song Yue. From the moment we became friends, since when did I ever abandon you? I stood by you at all times and shared all of my secrets with you, Song Yue. Yet, you have lied to me about Alan. Even when I revealed to you the fact that I was in love with Alan, you should have told me that he is not a human. The least you can do is firmly oppose my decision using some sort of excuse. No, you didn't do anything of that. Instead, you suggested that I need Elena and Lu Zhen's approval for that to work. You made me misunderstand that there's hope for me. Lin Zhu was at the top of her voice. Fortunately, the room was sealed by her father through a noise-canceling barrier. Meanwhile, tears filled up Lin Zhu's ears as she fell to her knees. In my whole life, I just loved one man, and he isn't even a human, Song Yue. Just a human-looking puppet. I really love him, Yue. Seeing her ever-cold-looking friend breaking down so emotionally, Song Yue's expression softened. She couldn't help but hug her friend and apologize. I'm sorry, I just don't know how to tell you. So I ran away from the problem. I don't mean to lie to you. I swear. Lin Zhu continued to bawl her eyes out and hugged back. Please, do something, save him. The healers don't know what's wrong with him. Even the healing stone of the Heaven sect doesn't work. Patting her friend's back, Song Yue replied, only my husband will have the idea of how to help Alan out. And don't worry, I will not let him lay a finger on your clan. Just a moment ago, Song Yue was demanding an apology from Lin Zhu when Mark returns. She even suggested to Lin Zhu that the latter should kneel before Mark and beg for her life. After all, she knew how precious the androids to Mark are. But now, the situation has completely turned around. She was even promising her friend to shield her from Mark's wrath. Well, such is the case with kind-hearted people like Song Yue. She forgives others too easily. Chapter 391, Repairing Alan Through an Upgrade. I need to leave right now due to a situation. Inform Prince Feng that he can send one of the subordinates to our store's branch located at Lunaris City to collect the items on the date we decided. Mark informed a guard to pass the message to their leader before he gathered Lan Ju and Jinlong, the gold dragon, and teleported away from the village. Grabbing two of them, Lan Ju took a few continuous teleportations to reach the Zero Imperial City's Valley Street. Staring at the large mansion from a distance, he said, "Knock out everyone who tries to stop me." The Zhang and the gold dragon nodded in unison and followed him from behind as he walked forward. The two gatekeepers of Lin Wang's mansion obviously stopped him at the entrance. "Halt right there. Who are you?" One of the guards who didn't recognize Mark spoke out loud while pointing the spear at him. Mark glanced to the side. Lan Ju disappeared and reappeared behind the guard, giving a chop at his neck at controlled strength and knocking him out. Jinlong, the gold dragon, wanted to do the same, but Lan Ju didn't give him the opportunity and knocked out the second one too. Mark continued to walk forward and stepped inside the compound. As a few other guards who were roaming around discovered them, Lan Ju flexed his fingers and commented, "I guess it is better to just knock everyone out to save time." Mark didn't say anything and stayed silent, but the gold dragon had different thoughts. Using his intellect, he made his move without bothering to ask Mark's permission. Transforming into a 20 FT gold dragon, he released his aura but made sure to control the range so that only the spirit warriors inside the mansion get affected by the presence of a supreme realm beast. Lan Ju and Mark halted their footsteps in surprise and turned their heads. The gold dragon took a glance at them from the corner of his eyes and said, I believe no one is foolish enough to fight once they realize that they don't stand a chance against their enemies. Mark answered calmly, except that these guys aren't our enemies. They could be considered allies. Ah, the gold dragon realized that he fucked up by misunderstanding the situation. He bowed his head and apologized for his reckless move. But it appeared that Mark wasn't against his move. He ordered the gold dragon to continue to stay in that form and put pressure on the Lin clan. As a result, Lin Wang and the Black Knight were forced to come out of the house in a hurry. The moment he saw Mark, his legs already started to shiver. Even Song Yun was in the same condition, although he appeared to be uncomfortable with the presence of the gold dragon. But in the end, Lin Wang is still a minister who dealt with the emperor and the imperial guests for a long time. He managed to stay calm even in the presence of a powerful dragon and gracefully welcomed Mark and the other two. "Welcome to our residence, Owner Lu. How was your trip?" Mark replied in a straight tone, "We'll have a nice talk in the future, but for now, I'm busy with other matters. I'm here to take Alan, my younger brother, back with me." Ah, that's... Sweat beads started forming on Lin Wang's forehead as he became nervous once again. He wiped off the sweat with his handkerchief and said, "There's something I need to tell." Mark raised his hand. "I know the condition of Alan, Lord Lin, so don't bother for now. If you want to answer, just tell me how he ended up in this place." Lin Wang thought that Song Yue probably had updated the news, and seeing that Mark wasn't too angry, he felt a bit relieved and told him the truth that he knows. "My daughter brought him from the Blood Hill Forest. They were attacked by a..." Mark raised his hand once again and interrupted him. "I will hear the story directly from the witness. So, can you now hand over Alan, or should I take him in my own ways?" Mark didn't tell him what was his own way, but Lin Wang understood it perfectly. The minister glanced at the gold dragon and gulped his saliva before he nodded like a hen. "Yes, of course. We'll happily cooperate with you." After a while, "The Necromancer King, huh?" Mark mumbled coldly as he tightened his grip on the hexagonal prism-shaped object in his hand. "He is coming after the Emperor's head. Good. It will save me a lot of trouble to search for him." After collecting the glowing ring, Elena's core, and Alan's unconscious body, Mark bade farewell to Lin Zhu and returned to the store with his fiancée. As for Lin Zhu, she felt a lot relieved after seeing Mark, knowing that Alan would return to life. Adding on top of that, nothing happened as Song Yue earlier warned her. After listening to the entire story, Mark even thanked her for the help instead of unnecessarily blaming her for this incident. It made her feel a little bit regretful for speaking such harsh words to her best friend regarding Mark. She didn't change her view about Mark, but still, she felt like she hurt Song Yue with her words. She decided to apologize to her the following day. And lastly, Lin Wang was just happy with the fact that Mark didn't show his aggression against his family. It is enough for him. Upon returning to the store, Mark heard that the third prince returned to the palace because of the long wait, and Zai Mei took this opportunity to take a room for herself and was currently taking a nap. Mark didn't wake her up and just went to his room with Alan's body. He didn't forget to tell Song Yue and others to take a rest in the meantime. Laying the android on the floor, Mark closed the door and sat down before the body. He talked to the system. "System, to repair Alan, how much do you need?" The system was always quick to reply. "Ding, 100,000 credits." As Mark was about to agree to pay the amount without even trying to negotiate, the system decided to not take advantage of the situation and sent him the second notification, something that helps its host. "Ding, the host can choose to upgrade Alan Spencer with the upgrade crystal and repair him without paying credits." "Oh, I can do that." Mark was surprised a bit and then opened his inventory right away. Since he planned on giving it to this android in the first place, Mark didn't hesitate to click on the image of a crystal. This one was rainbow in color as opposed to yellow. Upgrade crystal superior. Grade NA. Description: a crystal made from the core of divine dragon Velkazar. Velkazar. Mark remembered the statue of Velkazar, which gives him free gifts every couple of weeks. "Let's think about it later, Mark. Focus on the present. He shook away those thoughts and grabbed the glowing rainbow crystal that appeared in his hands. Soon, he touched Alan's forehead with this crystal. As the crystal disappeared into his forehead, the system sent him the notification. Ding, the android goes into standby. Estimated time, 71 hours, 56 minutes, 32 seconds. Okay, so 3 days, huh? Not a big deal, I can wait. Now it is Elena's turn. Mark then looked at the hexagonal prism core that was placed in one of the inventory slots and contacted the system once again. System, what is the price I have to pay to bring back Elena? Ding. Chapter 392. The Lamp of Wishes and Amp, upgrading the exosuit. Mark's expression changed as he saw the system's offer. Ding, attack helicopter EC-665 is the price. Just a moment ago, he thought that the system changed after the update. It was becoming nicer and stopped becoming an opportunist. But the new reply from the system made him wonder whether he was wrong. As a result, he didn't rush as he did with Alan's repair. Instead, he tried to negotiate. Attack helicopter is something that I need for my family to fly around and will be useful for my research. I'll pay you in credits instead. Adding to the cursed ring, he possessed 4 divine-grade weapons, one of which was given to Alan. The remaining 3 could be traded for credits. Hence, he wouldn't be lacking credits even if he spent a hefty sum for Elena's resurrection. Too bad for him, the system also had the knowledge of it. Hence, it didn't ask for the credits as in its view of the law of exchange. A precious thing can only be exchanged for another precious thing. Now that credits are no longer precious for Mark, the system decided to use something else that is worth a lot. However, Mark wasn't ready to give up the helicopter despite knowing the fact that it would bring Elena back. So what should the system do? Ask for the divine-grade weapons, give him a difficult mission. The system made a quick analysis and gave him the best offer it can. Ding, the price to complete the host's request has been changed. Ding, your side quest has been changed. Side quest III. Spend a total of 100 million credits in the system store. Reward, Staff of Blessing, the Lamp of Wishes. The Lamp of Wishes. Grade NA. Description. The Lamp of Wishes can be used to make a request to the system that bypasses the law of exchange. Whatever the host asks, the system is obliged to fulfill it. Note 1. God-grade items and the ones that don't exist within the system's database cannot be granted. Note 2. Can only be used once every 180 days. So this is like a genie's lamp. Mark had this thought come to his mind as soon as he read the description. His eyes then shifted to the quest itself and mumbled, "The original 50 million credits have been raised to 100 million credits in the side quest, and another reward was added. To get 500 million gold coins, I might have to rob all the empires. Let's see what I have got first. Prior to my departure, I had over 21 million gold coins, including the 10 million given by the Imperial Palace as a part of our deal. I had 26.2 million credits. Now, adding the new rewards I had a total of 33.6 million credits. If I convert all the gold to credits, I'll have another 4 million. To reach 100 million, I would still need over 62 million credits. Trading Jade Pipa and this cursed Ring of Chiyu will net me another 50 million. That leaves 12 million credits to be earned. I wonder how much I can earn if I sell all the semi-divine items I got from the Wuji sect. But is this really the right thing to do? Perhaps it is because Mark was relaxed knowing that Elena's resurrection is possible as long as he earned enough money. He was having second thoughts about trading every treasure he had to complete the side quest. Instead, he could take it slow and focus more on becoming stronger. Adding on top of that, it was Elena's fault in the place that she ended up like this. If she had only listened to Alan's opinion and waited for a few days until the system gets online to contact him, none of this would have happened. If one should receive a reward for doing the right thing, then they should also be punished for becoming reckless. Mark doesn't know what his exact feelings were. Was he angry with Elena, or was he angry with himself? or whether he suddenly thinks her life isn't as important as wasting away 100 million credits in hurry. Whatever the case, for now, he just convinced himself to not hurry the resurrection of Elena and put his priority on exploring the functions of the system instead. But before that, he would have to check out the new items in inventory that he missed due to coming in a hurry. Open inventory. He first clicked on the rainbow-colored stone. A new window opened up with its image and the details. Upgrade stone superior. Grade NA. Description: can be used on items and upgrade their grade as long as the item is celestial or below grade. So this cannot be used to upgrade to the god grade, huh? Well, it doesn't matter anyways. I have already decided on the item which I will use this on. He took out the stone, and then the fist-sized box with a big red button on top of it. Mark touched the stone to the compressed exo suit. Just like with the android, the box glowed as soon as it was touched by the upgrade stone. The latter disappeared into the box in the meantime. As the glow died down, Mark received the confirmation. Ding, exoskeleton suit VII has been successfully upgraded to exoskeleton suit VII. Check out its details for the changes. Exoskeleton suit VII bound. Model number VT61. Grade celestial. Crew 1. Performance: maximum speed, Mach 2 running, Mach 10 flight, Mach 1 underwater. Energy consumption, ether points amount depends on actions. Maximum operating altitude, 57,458 meters from sea level. Maximum operating depth, 25,682 meters underwater. Armament: assault battle rifle ether. An assault rifle with a capacity to store 3 billion ether particles worth of ether energy. Ammunition, ether energy. Range, 2680 meters. Magazine, 3 rounds rank 9 ether bullets, 10 rounds rank 8 ether bullets, 20 rounds rank 7 ether bullets, 50 rounds rank 6 ether bullets. Rate of fire, 300 RPM fixed for every type of round. Sniper battle rifle ether. A single-shot sniper rifle with the capacity to store 9 billion ether particles worth of ether energy. Ammunition, ether energy. Magazine, 1 round low rank 1 to peak rank 9. Range, 38,566 meters. Attachments, scope, 150x. Target lock-in, yes, assault rifle. Other FEATURES. Flight, underwater breath, enhanced vision, night vision, resistance 9 points, and neural link. Description: the exoskeleton suit VII is a durable armor made out of mithril 42%, adamantium 48%, and other materials. It is capable of blocking every type of attack under the 9 circle realm and powerful enough to hurt enemies under mid-rank 9 physique 9, 5 SDR, with simple fists and kicks. Skills: active. Nullification: the suit absorbs all types of attacks for 5 seconds as long as they are below the level of 11 circle 11 STR/int. Cost: 20% ether energy. CD: 180 seconds. Energy barrier: the suit creates a defensive shield for 10 minutes which reduces the attack power of an energy-based attack by 30%. Cost: 50% ether energy. CD: 6 hours. Stealth mode: the user can turn invisible for 30 seconds and attack enemies from far away. However, the mode will get cancelled with physical contact with anyone. Cost: 10% ether energy. CD: 5 minutes. Elemental blast: the user can blast concentrated energy from either of his palms and destroy the opponents. Effect 1: 160% attack power max, 10.9 int. Effect 2: contains the attribute effect. Cost: 50% ether energy. CD: 0 seconds. All-out burst: the battle rifle absorbs the natural energy from the surroundings and shoots a concentrated beam with rank 10 attack power 10, 5 int. Cost: 100% ether energy. CD: 24 hours. Passive toggle. Flight: the user could fly like a bird in the sky with just 1 ether point second of consumption. Underwater breath. With the suit having the ability to automatically extract oxygen from water, the user could swim underwater without any breathing issues as long as the mask is kept on. No cost is required. Neural link. The user could operate the suit remotely by connecting his mind with the suit's core. Cost depends on the distance and time. Note, once the suit is disconnected, it needed to be collected in person. Hence, there's a risk of losing it. Enhanced vision. Through the inbuilt scope function in the helmet, the user can see the objects more clearly with 20x zoom. No cost is required. Night vision. The user can see in the darkness as clearly as in the day. No cost is required. Damn, the improvements are too big. I guess I did the right thing to upgrade it after all. Anyways, there are others to check out for. Let's put this away. Placing the exo suit back in his inventory, Mark proceeded to click on the rest of the rewards. He clicked on the unique skill ticket with a question mark. The ticket disappeared from the inventory, giving him a skill. Ding, metal armor skill unique, had been added to the skills list. Metal armor LV9. The user can gather magic energy and turn his body into steel, increasing strength and defense stats by 2 points for 10 minutes max, 10.9 cost, 50% ether energy. CD, 6 hours. Well, the skill isn't exceptional but isn't bad either. It might become useful in the future. Mark didn't like the skill that much as he was expecting an offensive type. He felt like he had enough protective measures already and didn't need another defensive skill. But then again, it is not like he paid for it. So, he was cool to have an extra one. Closing down the window, he went on to click on the image of the next slot that coincidentally has a part of his name included. Chapter 393, Nuclear Bomb. Mark 14 Nuclear Bomb. Model TX-14. Grade NA. Type thermonuclear. Yield 6.9 megatons. Energy release at the point of impact, 28.8696 petajoules, equivalent stats, 12.1. Max, blast radius, high possibility of death, 4183 meters ground burst, 4467 meters air burst. Max, effective radius, light injuries, 26.5 km ground burst, 30.7 km air burst. Description: this nuclear bomb has the potential to wipe out any spirit warrior below Saint Realm if they stand close enough from the point of impact. The more distance is from the point of impact, the less damage the targets will receive. The first solid fuel staged hydrogen bomb. It's an old model, but the danger it possesses to my enemies cannot be ignored either. Putting aside this bomb's ability, there's something I need to ponder. Based on this information, we can safely say that even a beginner Saint Realm expert, 12 Circle, would usually have the strength equivalent to this nuclear bomb. That guy named Yukying, who gave me the holy beasts, is surely stronger than an average Saint Realm. Then what about the realms above Saint? According to Baltro, the Manticore, there are beasts and beings in the 13 Circle and even in the 14 Circle. There's a high chance that even a bomb of Tsar Bomba's capacity wouldn't be enough to harm those beings. Thermonuclear bombs are only helpful against the worlds on this planet of Type 1 civilization, and to some extent, Type 2 civilizations possibly. But the antimatter weapons, on the other hand, have the potential to hurt those gods comfortably sitting in heaven and playing with the fates of mortals. The antimatter weapons should be what I need to put as my next big goal. Let's see, I need about 3 GM of antimatter to have equivalent energy released by a nuclear bomb with a megaton yield. Even if I assume that I need a gigaton yield to hurt them, I would need 23 kilograms of antimatter. Even at my team's peak, we didn't create so much antimatter in the lab. Forget about lab with sophisticated, I don't even have decent modern equipment in this world. Nah, even if I somehow collect tons of antimatter, it is only enough to hurt the people, not enough to totally wipe out a planet as the gods do in the myths. It means they are far stronger than I can imagine. What I need is something like a true vacuum bomb that releases vacuum energy and created some sort of vacuum decay. but it should be in a controlled manner or else the entire universe will die. Why am I thinking of such absurd theories right now? Destruction of planets, defeating gods, and vacuum energy? Seriously, you are way over in your head, Mark. Come down to the earth and think about the problems before you, idiot. Fu, take a deep breath. After calming down himself and throwing all unnecessary thoughts away from his head, Mark closed the window and clicked on the missile defense system. Since it can be upgraded with a click of a button, he didn't summon it and proceeded with the upgrade using the credits. Ding, 840,000 credits were deducted. Missile defense system has been upgraded to crystal grade. He didn't stop upgrading. Ding, 6,720,000 credits were deducted. Missile defense system has been upgraded to ruby grade. Okay, next. His eyes shifted to a section of the inventory filled with dazzling items. With his eyes fixed on a throne-shaped item, Mark asked, "System, how much is needed to repair Wang's Yuo?" The system took a couple of seconds to analyze the weapon's condition and gave him the answer. Ding, 2 billion credits. The Divine Throne is a god-grade item. It requires rare resources to repair it and bring it back to its peak. 2 billion. Mark let out a gasp in shock. But then, as he remembered the price quoted by the system to forcefully remove the memories of the Zheng back when he first contracted with it, he felt calmer. He felt that it might be worth the price, considering the fact that the god grade is the highest grade an item can have in the universe. There's nothing higher than that. It is why the gods and immortals call them universe-grade items. As he can't repair it at the moment, he could only try wiping out its consciousness. Since the system didn't cost him much when it wiped out the consciousness of the Yu sword, Mark expected it to be doable. And the system confirmed to him that he can afford it, but Mark couldn't help but have second thoughts as he read the notifications. Ding, the price is 18 million credits. The system will use the Proto's energy to wipe out its memories and will bind them to you. The Divine Spirit will not remember anything and will stay completely loyal to you. Ding, if the host doesn't want any spirit hosting the Divine Throne, it will cost 15 million credits. Note, if the weapon doesn't have any spirit, then it cannot act on its own. Mark understood that he was left with two choices. The semi-divine and divine weapons which had the spirits can act similar to the contracted beasts. They wouldn't need their masters to wield them all the time. At the same time, Mark knew the benefits of Wang's Yuo too. This old divine spirit has been there for a long time and probably knew a lot of secrets of heaven, including the Jade Emperor. With great wisdom, the divine spirit can also advise him on several matters. However, there is a big risk. Since Wang's Yuo is a divine spirit, he can escape when things become difficult between him and his master. In the future, what if he escapes and reveals the secret of the system to some godlike Yuqiang? After analyzing the pros and cons for a while, Mark came to the decision and talked in his head. System, I would like to wipe out the spirit entirely. Ding, please store the item in your inventory. Mark nodded and took out the scepter from his storage ring. As soon as he came outside, Wang Zhu expressed his delight. Finally, I thought I would stay and share that space with those inferior spirits. But then again, I didn't expect a mortal to possess more than one divine-grade weapon. Lu Zhen, where did you get that yellow Emperor's Jade Pipa? There are also weird metallic objects in strange shapes. I'm really curious. Whoa, what is that puppet? It looks exactly like a human from top to bottom. And what is this place? I feel quite an amount of suppression on me. It was as if some powerful entity unleashed a skill and trapped us in a pocket dimension. Anyways, did you think and come to a decision? We can proceed with forming the contract without wasting any time. What do you say? Earlier, Mark had a tiny bit of pity for the Divine Throne as he decided to wipe out its spirit, but when he heard these words from Wang Zhu, he felt like he did the right thing after all. After telling the Divine Spirit that he still needed half more day and will answer all of his questions, Mark placed the Divine Throne in the inventory. System, proceed. Ding, the inventory has been locked temporarily to block the target's escape route. A few minutes later. Ding, 15 million credits were deducted. The Divine Throne has been bound to your soul. Name the Divine Throne. Chapter 394. The Overpowered God-Grade Weapon. Danya. That is the name I will give to the Divine Throne, as I will deliver judgment using the weapon. Ding, the name is registered. Check out the Weapons tab for the details. Mark clicked on the Divine Throne for the details. Danya, the Divine Throne. Grade God Peak Quality. Status: damaged, 50% reduction of skill effectiveness. Max limit of stats-wise reduced by 20%. 100% higher cost, cooldown time and unavailability of several skills. Attribute: Divine Energy. Description: once the Divine Throne of the Heavens, Danya is a damaged artifact of God grade that can shapeshift to any type of weapon its master desires. All types of attacks unleashed by Danya will contain divine energy. Skills: active. Divinity Bestowal. Using the Divine Throne, the user can bestow divinity to any ally for 1 hour. CD, 6 hours. Range: the target must be seen with the naked eye. Life creation unavailable. Using the Divine Throne, the user can create a new life of any shape, size, and species. All it needs is imagination. Cost varies. CD varies. Absolute Restoration unavailable. The user can restore everything back to its natural state with absolutely no flaws or mistakes in the process, regardless of how badly destroyed the target is. The user can undo powers that can be otherwise apocalyptic, reverse altered effects, restore destroyed souls, resurrect and heal any type of damage, be it mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical. Cost varies. CD varies. Range: the target must be seen with the naked eye. Divine Judgment. By sitting on the Divine Throne, the user can unleash karma on the target. The target will receive the judgment from the heavens within 1 day of time. The result will be based on virtues and sins. Cost depends on the target. CD 0 seconds. Range: the target must be seen with the naked eye. Dimension Creation unavailable. The user can create dimensions and nearly anything within the dimension, objects, creatures, etc., and travel to them with a thought. Cost varies. CD varies. Divine Arrows unavailable. The user can conjure divine arrows and rain down on the enemies with 150% attack, max 13.9. Cost: 1% ether energy per divine arrow. CD 1 sec per divine arrow. Range unlimited. Divine Healing. The user can heal themselves or others by using divine energy power. Cost varies. CD varies. Divine Shield. The user can cover himself with a divine barrier that has self-healing power. It has the power of 200% defense, max 13.9. Cost: 1% ether energy per second. CD 0 sec. Almighty Mode unavailable. The user's body will merge with the Divine Throne and transform into an almighty divine being for 5 minutes. During this time, all of the stats will be increased to 13.9. Cost: nil. CD 72 hours. Prophecy. The user can have a prophetic dream of his destiny. The point of the future will be random and cannot be controlled by the user due to the loss of the Divine Spirit. Cost: nil. CD 12 hours. Passive Skills. Divine Aura. In the presence of the Divine Throne, all of the user's stats will be increased by 50% or 2 points, max 13.9, whichever is lower between them. Divine Transformation. The Divine Throne can shapeshift into any kind of item or weapon that its master desires. However, it cannot take the appearance of a living being. Divine Recovery unavailable. The user's energy, all types, recovery rate increases by 1000%. Divine Magic. All of the attacks generated by the Divine Throne contain divine energy. Hence, they are extra harmful to the undead and other dark creatures. Instant Teleportation unavailable. The Divine Throne can teleport its master to any place in the universe. Immunity. The user is immune to all kinds of debuffs. Whoa, that's a lot to digest. Mark didn't expect that a God-grade weapon is too overpowered even when compared to the likes of the Celestial-grade Divine Sword. the exo suit, and others. The power to create life, the power to create dimensions, the power to travel anywhere in the universe. It will just make him a god. Not to mention the fact that he could return home and check on his brother. His mind screamed to repair it even by taking loans, but fortunately, Mark's rationality saved him from falling into endless debt, as he wasn't dealing with gods yet. Hence, he could manage it for what it offers him at the moment. As for returning to his home planet, he could still do it as long as he finishes the quest and unlocks the space attribute. And to make sure he won't get tempted further, Mark closed the window and tried to shift his focus on other interesting objects like the Amulet of Diu, for example. What the? Once again, Mark was taken aback by the details, although it left a bad taste in his mouth unlike the earlier one. System, are you joking with me? There's no way I will use this one. Mark had a bit of expectation on this treasure, as this would let him form a contract with a demon, but that hope appeared to be gone, as it required 10 years of life force just to initiate the summoning. Even then, there's no guarantee of the success rate. And there's also a possibility that he would fail to form a contract with the demon after the summon. Mark felt like he received a useless item. But thankfully, the system already had a solution, one that satisfies him as well as its habit to milk gold coins from him. Ding, contracting with demons always comes at a heavy cost, as their loyalty is guaranteed once the contract is formed. It is different from the beasts. Ding, integrate with the system. The cost will change to 50,000 credits and the host gets a free chance. 50,000 credits, huh? Mark couldn't help but scoff at the offer proposed by the system. The lottery used to only cost 300 credits. You inflated the prices quite quickly, system. Ding, the system received a huge upgrade and hence, the quality of the items also increased significantly. As a result, the cost also increased. In such case, I guess the cost to spin the lottery wheel must also be increased, commented Mark in response. Ding, yes, it has been increased from 300 credits to 3,000 credits. You can check out the new lottery wheel for the details. Since he cannot argue with the system without seeing the results of the upgrade, Mark was forced to agree with the arrangement. Fair enough, proceed with the integration. Ding, Amulet of Diu has been integrated with your character. The amulet with the image of a devil disappeared from his inventory, and a new tab was added to his character menu. He opened the Amulet of Diu. Amulet of Diu. Grade NA. Description: the Amulet of Diu is an object that is used to summon a demon from the netherworld and form a contract with it. Cost 50,000 credits. Cooldown timer 30 days. Success rate varies. Free chance 100% success rate for summoning. Contracted demons 0. Summon. System, explain to me the process of forming a contract. Since he was dealing with the unknown here, he asked for the system's assistance to get clarification. If the demon will be summoned to his residence, then the ultimate defense will probably make it easier for him to subdue the target. In such a case, he can use an empty room. But what if the demon goes on a rampage and others might catch up in their battle, as Mark unleashes the gravity dome? In that case, he would send everyone away for a while before proceeding with the summoning. Or maybe he should just go far away and summon the demon in a remote location. There are a lot of thoughts going on through Mark's head, and the system's response only gave him a bit of temporary relief. Ding, upon initiating the summoning, the system will unleash the summoning circle, dragging a random demon from one of the netherworlds located in the plane of Immortals. Ding, the demon will usually lay down the conditions, as they are bound to the summoning circle for the next 30 minutes. The host will be on his own to deal with the demon. Ding, once the host fulfills the conditions, he can form a contract with the demon with terms discussed beforehand. After that, the host can summon the contracted demon at any time while consuming ether energy in the process. Ding, for the first contract, the system can create a temporary spatial dimension and summon the demon in that location. If the host needed the system's assistance to create such dimension every time, a fee of 10,000 credits will be needed for 30 minutes. Man, you are gold-sucking vampire, aren't you? Mark could really feel that the system was actually waiting to promote its assistants to loot more gold coins from him, now that he is very rich and also earn a 100% share of every piece of weapon from a transaction. Fine, we'll proceed after I'm done squandering. System, open the store. Skills, items, attributes, bloodlines, unique weapons. Well, I have enough items, don't need more. Let's see the unlocked content. Mark clicked on the attributes category and scrolled down to the last section. Super Advanced, 1 million credits. Chaos Time Nuclear Protos Anti-Divine. Divine Antimatter, Nature Natural Energy. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, ouch, I'm not dreaming. It's... Mark had a hard time believing that he could purchase one thing that he was dreaming to collect the most through scientific ways. Mark didn't even take a look at the other attributes and directly went on to purchase the thing he desires. However, the system won't give him the easy way either. Ding, super advanced attributes can only be purchased once. After this purchase, the others will be unavailable to purchase. Proceed. Oh boy, now this has become complicated. A look of hesitation appeared on Mark's face. Chapter 395, Purchasing the Attributes. According to Mark, of all the weapons he designed, the antimatter bomb is considered the best. Indirectly, just a couple of prototypes even stopped the World War. If only the weapon wasn't banned by the upper echelons, who knows, for the future generations of the Earth, Mark would have been called the father of antimatter bombs. However, it is also a truth that its creation is what caused his doom. That doesn't mean Mark wasn't fascinated by designing it once again. They have so much potential, not to mention the fact that he no longer has any superior to control his actions. If he wants to create them, he could create them. And the system gave him a shortcut to achieve it by providing antimatter particles for free. On any day, Mark would have chosen it without hesitation. But as the system mentioned that he can only purchase one super advanced attribute, he wanted to make sure that he was making the right choice. Since he already knows the method to make the antimatter, Mark would just need the right materials to create the antimatter extractor. As long as there is enough time, he might be able to build one and even upgrade it as he researches more. In that case, isn't it foolish to choose an antimatter attribute? Mark thought that way and spared another glance at other attributes on the list. System, explain the attributes in this section. Ding, purchasing the chaos attribute will let the host manipulate reality. Ding, purchasing the time attribute will let the host manipulate the timeline. Ding, purchasing the nuclear attribute will let the host manipulate the nuclear reactions. Reactions involving changes in a nucleus, such as fission, fusion, neutron capture, or radioactive decay. Ding, the divine attribute is manipulating the divine energy, which is exclusive to celestial beings. Ding, Proto's attribute is the opposite of divine energy. This anti-divine energy is the most corruptive energy in the entire universe. No shield could block this energy. Even gods find it difficult to defend against this energy. Ding, antimatter attribute is about the manipulation of antimatter particles, which are usually found in cosmic rays. Exposure of antimatter to the material world will give rise to the annihilation of matter. Ding, nature attribute is the manipulation of natural energy, which is found in every world that is inhabited by living things. The natural energy can also be refined into ether particles. Ding, the system recommends time. Controlling time is great and all, but it is not for me. I'm a weapon seller and my interests lie in selling my creations to the masses, not some universal domination and becoming a god or something. All I want is the power to protect myself and retaliate if one touches my bottom line. That's all. Mark eliminated time and chaos from the list as a result of his priorities. Compared to creating antimatter bombs, hydrogen bombs were quite easier to make. With enough manpower, robots, and materials, it is possible. The nuclear attribute was also eliminated. With the divine throne giving him free divine power, the divine attribute was also eliminated. As for Proto's energy, it is completely unknown and Mark doesn't want to take the risk. If he has no option, he would take the leap of faith, but since there are better options, he hesitated to choose them. Not to mention, Elena already possessed Proto's energy, and he can take her help to research the anti-divine energy. Only two were remaining, antimatter and nature. Both of them had great potential in their own right. Natural energy is in abundance, and if mastered properly, he could sell the weapons to the masses, while antimatter, on the other hand, needed responsible individuals to handle the bombs made out of them as they were quite dangerous. His eyes darted up and down. FCK, who am I kidding? I think I have already made my decision a long time ago. No matter how logically he wants to compare every attribute, Mark's heart was dead set on only one attribute. He just wants to eliminate other options through excuses. Upon realizing that, Mark felt like he wasted too much time dwelling on it and went to the pending notification and clicked on yes. Ding, 1 million credits were deducted. The antimatter attribute has been added to your character. Ding, the summoner spirit path is detected. There are no beasts for antimatter. The mage spirit path is recommended. Ding, a quest for the mage spirit path is detected. Antimatter will be locked. Ding, the super advanced attribute section has disappeared from the system store. Okay, one is over. Let's see if there were any useful attributes. He scrolled up. Basic, 50,000 credits. Fire, water, earth, lightning owned, wind, light, dark. Variant, 75,000 credits. Metal, shadow, sound, space owned. Magnet, crystal, gravity, oil. Advanced, 100,000 credits. Ice owned, wood, poison, plasma, lava, storm, glass, acid, sand. System, is there a limit on purchasing other attributes? He asked with his eyes fixed on a certain attribute. Ding, no limit on basic attributes. The host can select any 3 invariant attributes and any 2 in advanced attributes. Is that so? Well, not that it matters anyway. System. Closing down the chat window screen with the system, Mark proceeded to purchase the attributes. Ding, 75,000 credits were deducted. The gravity attribute is added to the character. Ding, the summoner spirit path is detected. There are no beasts for the gravity attribute. The mage spirit path is recommended. Ding, 75,000 credits were deducted. Oil attribute is added to the character. Ding, summoner spirit path is detected. There are no beasts for the oil attribute. Mage spirit path is recommended. Ding, 100,000 credits were deducted. Poison attribute is added to the character. Ding, summoning beasts from rank 0 to rank 9 were unlocked. Gravity spells will be helpful in restricting the movements of my enemies. I will use oil for various purposes, and poison could make even simple 9 bullets lethal, but I need to spend time on research. As all but the basic attributes section were closed for the purchase, Mark went back to the categories section and clicked on Bloodlines. Just like the rest of the categories, Bloodlines category was also divided into different tiers from Tier 1 to Tier 6. The prices were so high that Mark felt the urge to close it right away, but forced himself to explore the list. Tier 1 Bloodlines cost 100,000 credits each. Tier 2 Bloodlines cost 400,000 credits each. Tier 3 Bloodlines cost 1 million credits each. Tier 4 Bloodlines cost 5 million credits each. Tier 5 Bloodlines cost 50 million credits each. As for Tier 6, it cost an enormous 1 billion credits. It only has one bloodline, which is something called Primeval. The Blizzard Pegasus he currently owns is one of the Tier 5 bloodlines. Phoenix was also on the same list. Mark couldn't help but felt amazed by this detail, not because he was the child of the two people who possessed ancient bloodlines, but it is because of the fact that the system gave him 50 million credits worth as a gift. Back when he awakened, Even 100 gold coins were so much worth to him, and the system gave him 250 million gold coins of worth and didn't demand the amount. Maybe it is probably because I possessed it in the first place and the system only helped me with the awakening, wondered Mark. He further thought, but still, the sassy system helped me a lot more than I deserve. All of a sudden, Mark felt a little bit guilty for using the loopholes to make millions of gold coins, and still cursed the system as too greedy. Anyway, let's get going with the purchase. He explored the list under the Tier 3 bloodlines, which are affordable in his current situation. Based on the list of monsters listed here, I guess the Tier 1 bloodlines mean the bloodline passed down from the common grade monsters. Tier 2 bloodlines mean the fierce grade monsters. Tier 3 means the king grade, and Tier 4 means the emperor grade. Finally, Tier 5 should be an ancient grade. However, only monsters weren't listed. There were also gods listed here. There's even the bloodline of Jade Emperor and Monkey King in Tier 5. Now, my curiosity about the system's origins only increased further. Just how could scientists create such a thing? I believe something else is also involved. One day, I will find out the truth, but for now, let's focus on the present. Mark threw away the thoughts and clicked on a bloodline that has a familiar name on it, Yeti. It was an 8-circle realm beast king he fought in the trial of holy beasts. Since it is an ice attribute, he thought of receiving a few more ice spells, bloodline skills. However, the system disagrees with his decision. It gave a warning notification as usual as he tried to purchase the bloodline. Ding, the host cannot use its abilities. Proceed with the purchase. Why? Ding, bloodlines are different from attributes. Each bloodline contains the essence of the beast and is quite alive like a spirit. Ding, the host possessed a Tier 5 bloodline. It cannot coexist with lower tier bloodline, and neither can it accept a bloodline with an opposite attribute. So, I cannot purchase any bloodline below Tier 5. Mark was stumped by the system's explanation. Each bloodline in Tier 5 costs 50 million credits, and he wouldn't waste much money on a bloodline even if he becomes the richest person in the universe. He was forced to go back to the category menu with disappointment and put his entire hopes on the unique weapons category. I wish I would find something worthy here. He clicked on the category, opening up into 2 sections, normal and ether. As Mark wanted to sell them instead of using them for his own purpose, he chose the normal ones. I wonder if I can find something that is of 9th generation fighter, F-46's caliber. It belonged to the enemies but still, the best fighter jet. He scrolls down and almost felt like slapping himself. Advanced ones are too pricey. Even if I unlock them, there won't be customers who want to buy them. Let's pick an affordable one for now, but is better than a training aircraft like Yak 130 I have. After selecting one after another and reading their details, Mark finally chose the one. Yup, this Swedish one will be best. Chapter 396, Equipping Gripen Aircraft with Nuclear-Capable BrahMos Missile. Ding, 2 million credits were deducted. You unlocked JAS-39D. Check out the gallery for details. JAS-39D. Other names, Gripen/Griffin. Crew 2. Payload, 5,300 kg. Length, 14.8 m, 48 ft5 in. Wingspan, 8.4 m, 27 ft7 in. Height, 4.5 m, 14 ft9 in. Empty weight, 6,800 kg. Loaded weight, 8,500 kg. Max takeoff weight, 14,000 kg. Wheel track, 2.4 m, 7 ft10 in. Performance. Maximum speed. Mach 2, 2,204 km/h, 1,372 mph at altitude. Combat radius, 800 km. Ferry range, 3,200 km with drop tanks. Service ceiling, 15,240 m, 50,000 ft. Armament. Guns, 1x27 Mauser BK-27 revolver cannon with 120 rounds. Hardpoints, 8 3 on each wing and 2 under the fuselage. Each unit comes with missiles, 6 XRB, 74 air-to-air, 4 XRB, 99 air-to-air, 4 X-Meteor air-to-air, 4 XRB, 75 air-to-the-surface, 2 XKEPD-350 air-to-the-surface, 2 XRBS, 15F anti-ship missile air-to-surface, bombs, 4 XGBU, 12 Paveway II laser-guided bomb, 2 XBK, 90 cluster bomb, 8 X Mark 82 bombs. Description: JAS-39 Gripen D is a light single-engine multi-role fighter aircraft that has the ability to destroy an army of enemies with 8 circle and below cultivation. Price: 100,000 credits, 50,000 gold coins. Aircraft is done. Since this has meteor missiles unlocked, I don't need to worry about air combat. However, I need a supersonic cruise missile, which is also nuclear capable. I can then modify the hardpoints to create a new variant that can equip the new one. As for the nuclear warheads, I might have to depend on myself because I'm sure the system will not include them in this package. But it is not a big deal anyways. I can make them at any time as long as I have the materials and manpower. Wait a second. Why bother making nuclear warheads when I can make antimatter warheads and put them in missiles? Now that antimatter particles can be collected so easily, I would just have to focus on the modification, not the warhead itself. Anyway, let's go to the missiles section. Mark scrolls down further, crossing various sections ranging from unique handgun models to warships before stopping at missiles. After searching for a while, he purchased one that can be launched from an aircraft and also from a warship. Ding, 500,000 credits were deducted. BrahMos missile has been unlocked. Next is the manpower, my future soldiers. He further scrolled down to go to the section named Assistant, which is further divided between robot and android. He clicked on the robot section only to see the images of different types of robots. Along with different types of humanoid robots, various beast types also existed. Since they are only robots, they don't have any specific set of skills like the androids. So it was just a difference in appearances. The only thing that actually matters is their rank, which decides their durability, learning capability, reflexes, moving speed, data storage, etc. A rank 1 robot only costs 200 gold coins each and 1,000 credits to unlock, but it ends with a rank 9 robot costing as high as 78 million gold coins each and 1 billion credits to unlock. At the high-end ones, millions were shown like cents. I really miss those days when I was happy to earn 5 gold coins. But then again, I'm partly at fault here. I was the one who rushed into rank 9 anyway. Mark, you just focus on the present. Mark forced himself to stop thinking about other things and explored the details of each robot. After 10 minutes, he made his choice. Ding, 10,000 credits were deducted. Battle Robots III, rank 3 has been unlocked. Ding, 10,000 credits were deducted. Robot Dog rank 3 has been unlocked. Ding, 100,000 credits were deducted. Battle Robot V, rank 5 has been unlocked. Okay, I think I'm done with the store. There's no need to buy too many. Let's go to other functions. Mark closed the system store and went on to open his dearest lottery wheel that gives him free gifts of high value every time. The only problem is the fact that his luck is still at 7 points. Hence, he decided to only use the lottery pick ticket, which guarantees him a reward. As he clicked on the lottery wheel tab, the image of a wheel appeared on the holographic screen. The lottery wheel should have been upgraded according to the system, but it looked exactly the same with 7 rewards and 14 empty spaces. There are a couple of changes though. The first one is that one of those 7 rewards should be empty when he won the exo suit, but it was filled by the same reward. Second is the change of cost to spin the wheel. It was increased from 300 credits to 3,000 credits. And below the wheel, there was another box that says Pick Ticket. There was a number 1 on this glowing box. Random unique weapon. Random bloodline. Rank 1 Android, Weapons Research Specialist. Upgrade Crystal, Superior Grade. Ungraded Battle Tank, Merkava Mark IV. Peak Potion. Mysterious Box. Here we go. Mark clicked on the lottery pick ticket, and the wheel started to spin while the empty spaces were removed. In the meantime, the number 1,000,000 appeared in place of a lottery pick ticket. This was a new scheme from the system to earn more money. Since it knew that its host was using the Ring of Luck to get 100% probability every time, it introduced the lottery pick ticket, which eliminates the empty space. And to make sure that its host will not try to depend on this feature too much, the system also added a couple of more commands. The lottery pick ticket can be purchased only when the regular spin option is available. One can only purchase one at a time. Until it was used, the second one cannot be purchased. And once one purchased a lottery ticket, until the spin option above it was used and then reset after its regular 7 days of time, the successive price increases with each purchase. It can be considered a genius move by the system, but unfortunately, its host is already at a stage where he doesn't have an obsession with any new skills or weapons anymore. Hence, for the moment, these rules didn't affect Mark much, and he was happy to receive whatever he got. Ding, congratulations, you received a peak potion. The item was sent to the inventory. Open inventory. He casually tossed the vial of green liquid back into the inventory, after confirming that it is the same as the ones from before. With his stats crossing 9, the peak potion that increases his stats to 9.9 no longer appeared impressive as before. Meanwhile, the peak potion was replaced by an upgrade stone. Closing the lottery wheel, Mark then goes back to the Amulet of Du. He clicked on the free chance option. Ding, you will be teleported to the pocket dimension in 30 seconds. The countdown timer started for him. Meanwhile, on some planet located in the Immortal plane, a demon with 3 heads, a cat, a man, and a toad, attached to spider legs, was standing at the edge of a lava pool and staring at the red sky. On its man's head, there was a golden crown usually worn by kings. The weird-looking demon appeared to be lonely, based on the facial expression on the man's head. He lets out a deep sigh. Life is so boring lately. Everywhere there is peace. No wars, no motivation to get stronger, no interesting things to learn, and no summoning from mortals either. Those who seek vengeance don't summon me, and those who seek wisdom will not turn to our rituals. They would rather read the teachings of Buddha. I'm so bored. As the demon resorted to swimming in the lava pool to relieve his boredom, he sensed the otherworldly power descending onto his planet. He stopped swimming and stared at the sky. A black-colored portal appeared out of nowhere, and a beam of light was shot out of it. The demon's eyes widened in shock as the beam of light struck him in a fraction of a second, and then all he saw was that he was standing in some kind of arena. Just as he wondered where he was, a blinding flash was seen before Mark made his appearance. Eek! Mark couldn't help but jump back as his eyes spotted a creature with a disgusting appearance. His finger almost clicked on the Thunderblast skill, but Mark managed to hold himself and inspected the demon. Bale. Species Demon. Rank Peak 13 Circle. Description: one of the 9 demon kings of Ars Gotia. Mark's face suddenly turned pale and he roared in his head, "System, are you trying to get me killed?" Never in the world did he expect to summon a powerful demon king who can end his life with a snap of a finger. Mark wanted to return right away. Ding! Chapter 397.1 7 Deadly Sins Part 1. Ding! In the event of death, the host will be resurrected by the system. However, it only works if the host dies in this pocket dimension. Ding! Since it is the first time, the services are provided for free. The host can enable this feature beforehand by paying extra. Avaricious, mumbled Mark before paying attention to the demon walking toward him. Meanwhile, the 3-headed demon with spider legs had its senses working at their peak, trying to understand the place he was at and the strength of the human who appeared. He also seeks the answers from Mark, as the latter is likely to be linked to bringing him to this strange place. As the system was online and protecting Mark, the demon couldn't sense anything from the person. If he was a lower-ranked demon, he would have probably assumed that Mark was a normal civilian. But Baal is one of the kings of Ars Gotia who had 66 legions of demon army under his command. Each legion, comprising 66 demons, can easily destroy all the life on the planet Mark was living in. Perhaps only supreme beings and demigods could survive by running away or hiding. He is not a fool to assume that an average mortal could just drag him from his own world. It was obvious to him that the person standing before him is either a dragon in pig's form, or he had a true god, 14 circle, supporting him. Both of his assumptions might be wrong, but he was certainly curious instead of angry. That helped Mark to strike up a conversation with the demon. As the demon stopped walking about a few feet away from Mark, the latter introduced himself with his usual fake smile to cover his nervousness. "Hello, Lord Baal, my name is Lu Zhen. I'm a summoner and I wish to form a contract with you." "Ho, as I expected." The demon let out a smile on his man's head. He then asked, "What are the terms?" Seeing that the demon looked interested in the contract, Mark inwardly sighed in relief and firmly said, "Appear whenever I call for you. Destroy my enemies if asked. Protect my allies if asked. Be my messenger envoy whenever needed. If you have knowledge of rare materials in any world, please do give me the information. This is all I need from you." Seeing that the demon is stronger than the god Yuqiang who gave him the holy beasts, Mark felt that Baal must also be knowledgeable. So, he added that condition in the end too. And just like the system mentioned him, the demon took his terms seriously and went into thinking. Whether this will lead to an argument or even a battle entirely depends on the terms. Unexpectedly for him, Demon King Baal didn't want to test his battle strength. Instead, he demanded life force in return. No, Mark outrightly rejected it. After all, he wasn't desperate to get the help of a demon, unlike the desperate people who sign a contract with the devil in exchange for their souls. Either change your terms or we treat it as if this meeting didn't place at all. He would rather waste this free chance than accept this deal involving his life force. Baal observed the fearless human in silence. To understand this summoner's personality and thoughts, he decided to test him. "All right, I will use 7 deadly sins against you. Based on your performance, we will negotiate the terms." Demon King Baal then closed his eyes and summoned 7 ghostly spirits around him. Mark was alerted by the demon's sudden actions and clicked on the lightning clone skill in reflex. It appeared the same as the ghostly spirits while gaining the attention of Baal. An attribute cloning technique. That's a rare skill." He praised Mark before adding that a clone won't help him in this situation as the 7 deadly sins are different. They cannot be avoided. And before Mark even responded, his eyes had gone blank, and his soul was transported to an illusionary realm where he found himself sitting at the table with dozens of varieties of delicacies. It was like his consciousness is trapped inside a dream. For some strange reason, he didn't find anything amiss and was stuffing his mouth with the food, starting with the muffins. Feeling an endless appetite, he continuously ate the food nonstop for at least 30 minutes straight until his eyes fell on an apple pie. As he took the slice of the pie into his hand, a sudden memory jogged in his brain. It was the memory of Elena serving him the pie for the first time. He tasted that dish after several years, hence it was imprinted on his mind. As soon as he realized that he was in the middle of a test, the remaining delicacies disappeared, replaced by dead insects like cockroaches, crickets, etc. "Love you." He spat out whatever was in his mind and coughed several times, staring at the table in disgust. Followed by that, he got angry at the demon. "That bastard, I will roast him alive." As he was enraged, a peal of laughter filled the place, followed by the words, "Hey, you seemed special, mortal. Not everyone could get out of gluttony in such little time. However, this time it will be different. Even if you realize that it is not reality, you won't be able to come out so quickly. Good luck." Mark felt dizzy and fainted on the spot as the surroundings disappeared, followed by the change in the scenery. As he opened his eyes, he found himself lying on a king-size bed without any clothes. There were a couple of extremely beautiful-looking ladies, one on each side, sleeping beside him. They looked so hot that Mark couldn't resist himself touching them. As one of those women slept like she wasn't feeling anything, the other woman was forcefully woken up and found Mark exploring her body. She felt aroused and let out a sexy moan as she grabbed his arm but didn't stop him. Giving off a lecherous gaze, he didn't even bother to greet her good morning and just directly went into action. The loud moans of the woman filled the room for a while, until the door burst open all of a sudden and a blonde-haired woman in luxurious attire entered with a serious look. Mark stopped whatever he is doing and turned his head to look at the woman. "Oh, hey Rachel, wanna join us?" "We don't have any time for that now, Mark." She raised her hand to show a tab in her hand. As he sat on the bed, a woman named Rachel played the video and gave it to him. On the screen, a video was played where a group of prisoners was being executed by guillotines. Mark's veins bulged, his eyes reddened, and there was a clear look of anger on his face. Throwing away the tab in fury, he growled, "That weak island country dared to go against us. Pass the message to the generals that we are going to war. I'll give them an hour." He quickly dressed up and left the room without bothering to converse with his wives anymore. As he came out of the palace, Mark's eyes fell on a large army of robots with advanced weapons in their arms. He gave them an hour, but it only took a few minutes for his army to gather. Alan was standing in front of them. Everyone fell onto their right knee and bowed to their king. Mark fell into a daze for a couple of seconds as he stared at Alan. A series of blurry memories and words appeared in his head. "Alan, you may call me Big Brother. Alan, slice that arm. Alan, make me breakfast. Alan, clean the store. Alan is my younger brother. He is not someone you can put a price on, Lady Lynn. Alan, crush her throat. Alan, you will have to find a hobby that you can enjoy. Alan, you don't need to compete with Elena." Eventually, he managed to get out of those thoughts and nodded. "Rise." As they got up, he announced, "Today, we are going to wipe out the land of Japan from the planet. Hail Genesis." "Hail Genesis," roared the androids and robots as they saluted him. But then, Mark's expression changed once again, as blurry memories disturbed his concentration. "From now onwards, your code name will be Genesis, Mark. I name the store with the name attached to my life, Genesis. Welcome to Genesis Weapon Store." What the hell is going on? He wondered. Chapter 398.2, 7 Deadly Sins, Part 2. Sometime later, on a large island, as millions were being massacred indiscriminately by thousands of robots, and the buildings were being destroyed by explosions one after another, Mark was laughing like a crazy villain while observing from a helicopter. "Now the whole world will understand what will be the result of offending me. Ha 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 ha." Within no time, the enemy country has fallen, and the king was on his knees before Alan. Behind the king, who had a striking resemblance to Song Yun, there were about 1,000 soldiers in the same condition, without any willpower left. And around them, there were hundreds of robots with rifles in their hands. The king raised his head as he saw the helicopter land and Mark gets down, walking toward him. When Mark reached the king and looked at his face, he stepped back in surprise. For a few seconds, unrelated memories appeared in his head where he only did nothing but caused destruction using his battle tank. "You massacred innocent citizens who had nothing to do with our enmity. You are a devil," roared the kneeling king. There was a clear hatred in his eyes. Mark came out of his thoughts and looked coldly at his enemy. "You should have expected this before you executed my spies publicly, without even trying to negotiate with me." As the enemy king spat on the ground in response, Mark raised the gun and pointed at his forehead. "Goodbye, loser." The enemy king shut his eyes and prepared for death. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Time ticked for 5 seconds, but the bullet never escaped the gun. The king opened his eyes to see a devilish smile on Mark. "No, you won't die a death without a proper audience. I will parade you in the streets of our capital city before executing you. But before that, I will destroy everything that you hold dear. First your citizens, then your prosperous kingdom, then your soldiers, then your family, and only after that your death will come. You moth, arg. As the king was about to curse Mark while standing up, Alan kicked the back of his thigh with so much force that it forced him to kneel once again. Kill. Mark gave the signal to his robots and hundreds of gunshots were heard, turning every captured soldier into a corpse. After a while, the helicopter started flying away with the defeated king inside. Enormous explosions occurred one after another, drowning the entire island in the ocean. Roughly about a couple of hours later, Mark and his army returned to the city. Tens of thousands of people gathered on the sidewalks as the robots paraded in the middle, with Mark's half of the body standing out of the tank. All hail Genesis, all hail Genesis, all hail Genesis. The cheering reverberated all over the city as the army was going to the center of the city. Soon everyone gathered in the arena. Several guillotines were placed in the middle of the arena and a few feet away from them. The defeated king was kneeling with injuries all over his body. He was tied up by Alan so that he won't move from the spot. Mark and his queens were sitting on a balcony, watching the event. Alan spoke loudly, "Bring in the prisoners." Two women covered in black robes and hoods were dragged in chains, along with a dozen more individuals who were criminals of the kingdom of Genesis. "No, please spare their lives." The defeated king screamed as loud as he can, while the robots secured the prisoners, including those two hooded women with a pillory at the bottom of the frame, holding the position of the neck directly below the blade imbued with ether energy. Alan then raised his head to look at his king for permission. As Mark gave his nod, Alan turned toward the robots and announced, "Begin." The first blade was released and cut down the neck of a prisoner, ending his life in one chop. For the next 10 seconds, the heads started rolling on the ground one after another. And finally, only two women were left. "No, please take my life, just kill me first." The king pleaded with everything he could, but it fell deaf to Mark's ears. Alan then gestured for the robot to release the blade. It was at that moment Mark opened his mouth. "Wait." The robot stopped the execution, and the king hopefully looked at Mark, wondering whether he had a change of heart. However, the next sentence from Mark dashed his hopes completely. "It's no fun to kill them like this. Mr. Song Yun here should see the faces of his loved ones when they were killed. Only then it will be satisfying," Mark said with a smile, making it seem like he is a sadist to the core. But as if everyone is psycho like him, everyone just laughed and cheered along. "Kill, kill, kill, kill." As the whole stadium was filled with cheering, the robots grabbed their hoods and tore them with force before grabbing their hair and raising their heads for their king to take a look at their faces. Mark was stunned for a moment, as his eyes fell on the beautiful face of a maiden at the end. A gush of memories hit him at the same time as the blade was released on the wife of the defeated king. He got up from his throne. Song Yue. The head of the woman who resembled Song Yun's wife rolled on the ground, and her husband cried out in pain and tried to get up, but was held by Alan. In the next second, the last blade of the guillotine was released. "No, no." This time, two people screamed at the same time. One was the defeated king, but the other was Mark. Surprising everyone in the stadium, Mark took a huge leap from his throne. He couldn't make a proper landing and tripped his leg, falling on the ground. By that time, the blade almost reached the neck of the woman. "No!" He screamed at the top of his lungs, and instantly, everything around him froze by the ice. Everything except for Song Yue and Alan was frozen in ice, and she raised her head with tears falling from her eyes and a look of surprise on her face. Mark didn't care about his surroundings and just dashed forward. "Why?" she asked with a stunned expression. After freeing her, he caressed her face and spoke, "Even if this is an illusion, I would never hurt you, my shats. I would rather burn the world." A stream of tears fell down from Song Yue as cracks appeared all over her body. "What?" Mark was taken aback at first, but then saw the whole world around him start cracking. Eventually, Everything disappeared and Mark saw the demonic creature standing before him, with its human head smiling. Mark got angered and almost opened the skill tab to attack, but the Demon King's words stopped him from doing that. You are full of lust, wrath, and pride, Lu Zhen, quite a fitting host for demons. On the other hand, gluttony, envy, and sloth, the three deadly sins, had no effect on you. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to test your greed, but it is clear that your love for that girl is strong enough to repel the 7 deadly sins. It destroyed everything I had planned for you. She's your anchor, Lu Zhen. I really wonder what would happen when that anchor gets broken one day. Will the ship sink or will it sail and destroy everything in its path? Anyways, this is my assessment of your test. As Mark forcefully suppressed himself from beating this demon, the latter continued. Now, coming to my conditions, they were simple. Freedom to act. There is no cost for summoning me, but to stay by your side, I would need to consume the soul of a human or any creature. Here. Demon King Baal took a white orb out of nowhere and threw it toward Mark. As the latter caught it in reflex, the demon said, "Every time you kill, this will absorb the soul of the killed one. When this changes color, you can summon me at any time." Mark observed the orb in his hand. Orb of Baal. Grade NA. Description: the orb automatically absorbs the souls from the corpses when near them, in a 100-meter range. He furrowed his brows as he fell into deep thinking, wondering if it would be the right thing. Since his path ahead is filled with dead bodies, either way, Mark was tempted to take this offer. However, after experiencing the 7 deadly sins, he wouldn't underestimate this demon. He consulted the system. As expected, he received a series of notifications. Ding, the target is too stronger than the host. The system cannot forcefully summon the target whenever the host wants. Ding, the host cannot summon the target with full power. The target will only possess the strength of a maximum of 2 realms above you. Ding, this target usually can only be summoned for 10 minutes to 60 minutes for 24 hours. But this target can break the rules due to abnormally high stats. Ding, the system cannot control the target as a slave contract cannot be imposed due to the large difference in strength, and the host should depend on his own skills to order the target. Ding, using the Orb of Baal to absorb the souls is against the course of nature, and might receive the attention of the death god, Yan Wang. Ding, the Orb of Baal can be integrated with the system to receive protection from being traced. Proceed. We'll proceed after returning to our world. Mark kept the notifications aside for a second and looked at the 3-headed demon. All right, Baal, we have a deal. Chapter 399, Awakening of the Second Spirit Path. Use Jade Pipa. Grade Mithril. Description: the musical instrument that can control all the basic elements present in nature. It's only a mithril grade, huh? Mark was slightly disappointed by its skill set and grade. If he didn't have the divine throne and the exo suit, he would have probably kept it, but at the moment it felt like he was keeping a useless item. System, proceed with the trade. Ding, you traded Use Jade Pipa to the system. 30 million credits have been added to the account. Next it is Ring of Doom. Status Cursed. Grade Celestial. Description: the Ring of Yan Wang gives power over all types of undead beings. One would be immortal just by wearing it. However, at the moment, it is cursed. As a result, one would be sealed in the form of a skeleton upon wearing it. Ding, do you wish to lift the curse with purification stones, superior grade? Nothing will change in the skills or the offer. Nah, a superior grade one will only cost me another 1 million credits. It's not like I'm interested in this object. After making his decision, he spoke. System, I would like to trade this too. Ding, you traded Ring of Doom. 47 million credits have been added to the account. Now I have enough credits for the upgrade. Should I proceed or not? Mark opened the inventory and clicked on the defense system. With new earnings, he had a strong urge to upgrade it, but when his eyes fell on the cost for the upgrade in 9 figures in gold coins, He hesitated to spend such an amount as he was worried that it will force him to spend the remaining to get the Lamp of Wishes. Nah, even after this upgrade, the next one will likely cost over 600 million credits. I will have to loot several worlds to collect 3 billion gold coins. Let's not give it to temptations and use the money to develop my island. Anyways, let's check out the last one too. Closing the window that showed the details of the defense system, he clicked on the aircraft with a unique design. B-2 Spirit Bomber. Grade NA. Crew 2. Length 69 ft, 21 m. Wingspan 172 ft, 52.4 m. Height 17 ft, 5.18 m. Wing area 5,140 ft2, 478 m2. Empty weight 71,700 kg. Loaded weight 152,200 kg. Max takeoff weight 170,600 kg. Fuel capacity 75,750 kilograms. Performance. Maximum speed Mach 0.95, 1010 km/h. Cruise speed Mach 0.85, 900 km/h at 40,000 ft altitude. Range 11,100 km. Service ceiling 15,200 m. Armament 80 times 227 kg class bombs, Mk82, mounted on bomb rack assembly, bra. 36 times 340 kg CBU class bombs on bra. 16 times 907 kg class weapons, Mk84, JDAM84, JDAM102, mounted on rotary launcher assembly, RLA. 16 times B61, or B-83 nuclear weapons on RLA. Standoff weapons, AGM-154 JSOW missile or AGM-158 JASSM. Description: an aircraft bomber that has the capability to destroy an army of legendary realm experts with ease. It's a marvel of stealth engineering and deserved to be praised. Cost: 400,000 credits, 200,000 gold coins. 2 million. The prices are rising at an exponential rate every time. The cost of those bombs will be even more. No one with a right mind in this world would buy it. Only crazy people like me would spend hundreds of millions of gold coins just on upgrading as if they don't matter. Nah, even if they were crazy enough to squander their wealth, I will not sell these bobbies at any cost even after I unlock them in the gallery either way. They are exclusive to my army, so I guess I don't need to worry about its sales. I just need to manage my spending on the bombs. Perhaps, when I create antimatter bombs in the future, my spending will be cut off further. Anyways, I'm done checking with all the rewards and changes in the system. All that's left is to wait for Chang Bo to return and absorb his luck points for the lottery wheel. 7 days passed away in a blink of an eye. During these 7 days, a lot happened that is directly or indirectly related to Mark's life. First, the Crown Prince was put on house arrest with the Emperor strongly suspecting that he is behind Shang Wei's abduction. A large-scale investigation started. Second, the Emperor invited Mark and his family for lunch. However, Mark postponed it by a week because of Alan's upgrade. Third, Mark received a letter from the Western Moon Kingdom about the official engagement ceremony. Fourth, Mark acquired an upgrade crystal of superior grade from the lottery. He used it on Alan once again as soon as the upgrade is over. He wanted Alan to go toe-to-toe even against a Supreme Realm expert. Fifth, Western Moon secretly went into a secret alliance with Prince Feng Wu. According to their agreement, the kingdom will officially recognize the Western Yan as an independent kingdom once the Kunyu bandits overthrow the Jai clan. After that, they will give necessary protection for the border. In exchange, Western Yan will cede its disputed territories to Western Moon. As the result, the latter will gain about 6630 km of land. As for Princess Shen Ling's plans of annexing the land into its kingdom, it will have to wait until she acquires the throne. Sixth, Shang Wei successfully awakened the power of the Phoenix bloodline through Fire Seed. The remaining part of the golem's head was currently being researched by the mages and alchemists of the Imperial Palace. Before making weapons out of them, they wanted to study the head, and the happy emperor gave them permission, much to the protest from the crown prince and the generals. Last but not least, Mark received the results of the investigation from his granduncle, Lan Jiang, regarding his adoptive parents' death. The organization behind the incident is named Seoul, but the Eastern Sun Kingdom doesn't have much information on them. Mark's best subordinate, who excelled in the investigation, is now dead. He knew that they were just the bullet. The hand which clicked the trigger should be someone else. And he doesn't want to spook them unnecessarily over the fit of rage, at least not before he found their identity. That is why he decided to wait until Alan was done with his latest upgrade and give the task to him. In the meantime, the store was opened and proceeded to run as usual. The advanced orders received by Chang Bo during the past few weeks had net the store a little more than 9,000 gold coins, and throughout the week, the store received 2,000 more gold coins as earnings. However, the rich owner of the store had nearly 390 million gold coins in his account, if all credits were converted to gold and added to the remaining gold coins, which is more than all the wealth of the entire Phoenix Empire, and hence, he didn't feel a thing about such massive profits. While continuing to create weapons in his free time, as usual, Mark waited for the completion of Alan's upgrade. He thought of lying low for just 3 more days, but something changed in Kunyu Valley that forced him to make his move in advance. The so-called Grand Tutor of Western Yan became too impatient to wait for the delivery of the weapons, and went on a killing spree of Jai clan guards, spooking them. If he had been successful in assassinating the Jai clan's head, it would have been fine, but he failed due to the intervention of an expert from the Church of Nuwa, coincidentally staying there as a guest. As a result, he was recognized but managed to escape with his life. The imperial family was alerted by the sudden change of events at Western Yan, and the emperor deployed an army, along with the northern general, to take care of the situation. Feng Wu cannot scold his greatest asset for his recklessness and hence can only turn toward Mark for help. As a result, Mark was forced to send the Zheng to Western Moon 3 days in advance with a storage ring full of weapons and ammunition as promised. He also made sure to write a letter with further instructions. As the Zheng reached the city of Lunaris, he directly went to the store and opened it. There was nothing inside except for a robot, the Guardian. As the Zheng is connected to Mark's soul, the robot treated it as a friendly target and allowed inside to explore the tower. However, Lan Ju wasn't interested in that. The Zheng just silently waited at the reception desk on the ground floor until the party arrive and take the ring without giving any money. According to the agreement made between Mark and Feng Wu, they will give him the principal amount after they won the war. And Mark received the confirmation of the transaction through the notifications he received back at the Imperial City. A total of 825,600 gold coins were deducted from his account, but he was nevertheless happy that the sale went through, not because of the gold. It is because he almost completed the quest that's been on pending for so long. Great, now only Gripen, Battle Robot II, Robot Dog, and Battle Robot V are left. The world isn't ready for these things. Let's just purchase it myself through proxy. But the system recognizes only individuals that weren't connected to my soul as the customers. Sometime later, that would be 524,000 gold coins, said Mark to Chang Bo, who was wondering why he was given 2 storage rings, one full of gold coins and the other with weapons, and then asked to proceed with the sale. Whatever the case, he would do it as he was ordered without any questions. As he received a series of notifications, Mark gave 10 gold coins to his subordinate as a reward. Chang Bo didn't know why he was doing this, but he was pretty much happy with his boss' generosity. Once the job is done, Mark left him to manage the store and returned to his room. Locking the door, Mark proceeded to open the notification screen. Ding, battle robot II has been sold. You receive 2,000 gold coins, 100% as your share. Ding, battle robot dog has been sold. You receive 2,000 gold coins, 100% as your share. Ding, battle robot V has been sold. You receive 20,000 gold coins, 100% as your share. Ding, JAS39D has been sold. You received 500,000 gold coins, 100% as your share. Ding, all mass-producible weapons are sold at least once. Ding, you fulfilled all the conditions. You completed the mandatory quest, awaken the second spirit path. Ding, you may choose between mage and assassin. Well, there's no need to think. Chapter 400, The Necromancer King Resurrects Elena. Mark clicked on the mage, and his notification screen was once again flooded with a series of notifications. Ding, mage spirit path has been unlocked. Ding, gravity, space, and oil attributes were detected in the host's body. All of them were associated with the mage spirit path. Ding, you received the skill attraction. Ding, you received the skill repulsion. Ding, you received the skill flight. Ding, you received the skill singularity. He received 9 skills associated with gravity attribute, followed by space, and then oil. Ding, you received the skill teleportation. Ding, you received the skill spatial barrier. Ding, you received the skill spatial distortion. Ding, you received the skill wormhole. Ding, you received the skill oil detection. Ding, you received the skill oil daggers. Ding, you received the skill oil transmutation. Ding, you received the skill oil clone. Finally, the problem with transportation was solved. Mark explored the list of skills he received from the space attribute, ignoring the remaining ones for the moment. If I remember correctly, my home planet was named by the system. But the problem is I don't know where it is, or where am I for that matter. I didn't learn astronomy to even basically understand the positions of planets or stars or galaxies either. How can I locate my world? As Mark was wondering about how to make a visit to home so that he can have his revenge and bring back his brother if it is possible, the system gave its piece of advice without being asked. Ding, Zan Rong/Marina Zan has traveled from her host planet to another world via summoning. If the system gets access to her memories, tracing is possible. Technically, my soul also traveled from Earth to this world, correct? Mark pointed out that if he can remember his whole life, then his soul should also possess the memories that can be used to track the Earth. However, the system had different opinions on this logic. Ding, the soul can only possess the memories its physical body experienced, and that too, for a short while. The soul itself doesn't have any memories. Ding, the host can only remember his past life because of the system. The system stored all the memories in its database when the host's soul is merged with Lu Zhen's. Fine, you are the boss. I will have to make a trip to Helios City anyways. I will unlock Mari's memories using the Eye of Talim and get you access to her brain. Helios City, Eastern Sun Kingdom. Your Majesty, for the past few weeks, the members of our specialized unit were operating the warships. It wasn't perfect, but I think we can go ahead with their launch on the day of your birth, said Lan Jiang, talking about the kid-class destroyers they acquired in the auction held by Mark. Yang Zhen is going to turn 13 within 5 days, and Lan Jiang wanted the day to be remembered by the launch of their super warships that will secure their maritime boundaries against the other neighboring kingdoms. They would also be able to prevent illegal fishing too. Okay, you can proceed with the preparations for the launch from the harbor. The teenager gave his nod and further asked, what about the guests? Is Lu Zhen invited? Lan Jiang nodded and explained, yeah, along with him, we will also be hosting the royal guests too. King Shen Niu and Princess Shen Ling of Western Moon, the new dwarven King Kragik Jade Fury, and Crown Prince Qin Yu of the Kun Empire confirmed their participation. On the other hand, the Leon Empire only replied that a prince and a minister will attend the lunch but didn't specify which ones. All right, Lu Zhen turned serious as he said, but make sure to keep this in mind. Our priority for this event should be awakening the memories of my sister. Go and personally escort Lu Zhen if you have to. I don't care. Lan Jing bowed. I will contact him and make sure that he brings Eye of Talim along with him. Meanwhile, in Sector 3 of the Bloodhill Forest, in the region filled with 7 circle and 6 circle realm beasts, a bunch of corpses was placed on the ground in an orderly fashion. The Necromancer King was drawing some ritual circles on a large scale with the blade of his doom scythe. Surprisingly, he was no longer in Exalt realm when he came out of his prison. He was now in the 8th circle realm. After he was done, he placed the corpses around the larger circle while placing the body of a woman in the middle of the central circle. It was Elena, who looked devilishly beautiful as always as a while ago. The Necromancer King flattened her face using brute force and still managed to restore it to normal later on. He then raised his scythe and proceeded with the incantations. "O the Lord of Death, Yan Wang, here is your servant praying you for your blessings and..." The incantation was a minute long, and once it was done, strange dark wisps erupted from the corpses and made their way toward Elena's body. After entering her body, the dark wisps merged to form a large one before transforming into the shape of a missing hexagonal-shaped core. Somehow, all the circuits in her body got activated while dark energy flowed through them. Elena's eyes were suddenly open and she sat up. She looked at the long-haired man with the staff and kneeled, "Master." The Necromancer King laughed as he spoke. "Welcome to the world of the living, Elena, but I don't like your name. As my first subordinate, I will adopt you into our great Xia dynasty. Hence, from this moment, your name will be Xia Fen." Elena raised her face to look at him before cupping her fists. "Understood, Master." After a brief pause, she asked, "What are your orders, Master?" The Necromancer King then said, "We are going to get back my peak strength. Also, we are going to need a mount befitting of our status and an army. Follow me." Soon, both of them slowly made their way towards Sector 2, which wasn't explored in decades because of the existence of beast kings of the legendary realm, 8th Circle. 3 days later. Genesis Weapon Store, Imperial City. Mark was casually reading the newspaper while sitting in a corner as the remaining people handling the customers. Song Yue was working as the manager of the store. Chang Bo went back to being a normal employee, and the new freeloader who is interested in Mark and doesn't have any job responsibilities just spends her time chatting. The gold dragon, Jin Long, didn't stay with Mark as he felt suffocated in the city atmosphere. Since Mark has no use for the dragon at the moment, he sent him away but made sure to keep an eye on him. As a result, both of the beast emperors were currently staying at the ruins of Land Sect, located in the Kunyu mountain range. But thanks to Mark's rank 9 stats, their telepathic connection was still active. Even from a couple of 100 kilometers away, they could speak to one another. As for Shang Jiao, she returned to the academy, making Chang Bo a little sad, but thanks to a new friend he made, he didn't miss her as much as he thinks he is. This damn idiot. He really made a mess this time. Mark was busy cursing Feng Wu for letting his grand tutor go wild. Because of the latter's actions, the Imperial Army is rigorously searching the Kunyu Mountains while the Jai clan has gained additional security. The whole second page was completely dedicated to the news from Western Yan. As if it is sponsored by the Imperial family, the Kunyu bandits were shown in a bad light in the newspaper. Their crimes were exaggerated too much, and their noble deeds like giving charity to the poor are described as an evil scheme to recruit bandits. Mark could only let out a sigh of pity and turned the page to look for the market section. Oh, someone from the inner sector is putting up their store for an auction. It is in a prime location. I can place an office there just for taking orders. As he was reading the details, a notification bell was heard in his head, followed by the appearance of the holographic screen. Ding, the upgrade time is completed. Inspect Allen for details. Finally, the 10 days of wait is over. Mark closed the newspaper with a pleasant smile and got up from his seat. Let's go and have a talk with him.